Chapter 987. The rumbling of the duel in the violet gold divine palace continued without end. It sounded like both sides were evenly matched. However, both Princess Sisai and Yu were very clear about the biggest difference between Yu Yang and Sun King. It was the most basic strength. No matter how talented Yu Yang was, no matter how hard he worked, he couldn't catch up to the current Sun King. A person's talent was far from being able to make up for the gap in time, because that was a gap of tens of thousands of years. Princess Qian clenched her teeth and no longer looked at the purple gold shrine above her head. Instead, she buried her head and rushed forward. Rather than staying here worrying and wasting her time, it was better to find the relevant secrets of the divine grimoire as soon as possible and help him as soon as possible. Passing through the incomparably spacious royal garden, a huge wall that separated the inner and outer palaces came into view. There were 3 layers of gates in the wall. In front of the city gate tower, there was a woman dressed in dazzling golden clothes. She was so dazzling that it was hard for people to look at her. She stood there quietly, waiting for Princess Qian. Seeing this woman, Princess Sisai felt bitter in her heart. Although she didn't know this woman in a golden dress, she was extremely powerful. Based on Princess Sisai's senses, she might be slightly weaker than the empress who led her clan to conquer Tong Tian Tower, but she was definitely much stronger than the 9 Brilliance King. Such a strong opponent was right in front of her, but she didn't have many helpers by her side. It seemed that the situation was not good. You are Titan Yu's wife, right? I think your goal is the same as mine, to find the secrets of the godly grimoire and help my husband win. Little girl, before we fight, let's exchange our names. I am Wulan, from the Tang Valley's 3-legged Golden Crow clan. I am my husband's second wife. Little girl, what about you? This Golden Crow clan's woman, whose strength was only slightly weaker than the 9 Brilliance clan's empress, looked at Princess Sisai from top to bottom, as if she wanted to see through the prison emperor divine sword in Princess Sisai's hand. I'm also my husband's second fiancée. My surname is June, and my name is Yuan. I am the daughter of the June family in the soaring dragon continent of Tong Tian Tower. Princess Sisai didn't mention that Yu Yang was acquainted with the 8th prince of the Golden Crow clan. She knew that in this kind of life and death battle, personal relationships were useless. Mentioning it would only damage their morale. As this concerned her husband's life and death, this woman named Black Orchid would not show mercy just because she knew Wu Hai. Of course, Princess Sisai would not do that either. Moreover, this Wu Lan's strength was comparable to the Empress. Her position in the 3-legged Golden Crow tribe should be extremely high. 8th Prince Wu Hai was probably her junior. Wu Lan had married very early, so she might not even know Wu Hai. Black Orchid, her entire body shining with golden light, suddenly smiled sweetly. What a coincidence! You're the second as well. Looks like that gentle and kind little girl is the real wife. Princess Sisai immediately shook her head in denial. That's not it. Sister Yu is his elder sister. If the one ranked first comes, you'll definitely die in her hands. She's not as easy to talk to as I am. If it was any other time, Princess Sisai would definitely not admit that Shui Wuxia was rank higher than her. At the very least, they should be the same. However, the current her had no choice but to take advantage of the situation to attack her enemy. Princess Sisai didn't know if Shui Wuxia could kill this Black Orchid. However, she knew that if Shui Wuxia were to awaken from her deep slumber after melting her godhead, her strength would definitely increase greatly. She would definitely be stronger than herself. Although she didn't know if Shui Wuxia would be able to awaken in time, it didn't stop her from using Shui Wuxia as her trump card. With a trump card, she could speak with more confidence. Oh, she didn't come? Could it be that she's the number 1 person in Tong Tian Tower, Jizun, mentioned by the clown? Black Orchid asked with a smile. She's not Jizun. Princess Sisai naturally wouldn't let the other party trick her. Tong Tian Tower is indeed Tong Tian Tower. Once it rises, it's unstoppable. Black Orchid shifted her gaze and looked at Drunken Cat, Hornless Dragon Jiang Ying, and Golden Crown Thorny Flower Queen Duo, who were behind Princess Sisai. She nodded continuously. I'm also my husband's wife. However, I don't know what my ranking is. That guy is too fickle. Drunken Cat stepped forward and greeted politely. Each one is more outstanding than the other. Furthermore, all three of you are guardian beasts. This is too shocking. Can Titan you have 3 guardian beasts at the same time? Furthermore, there are 3 completely different races. One is a dragon lady, one is a flower queen, and the last one, you're not an earth divine soldier, nor do you look like a human divine soldier. Could it be that you're the legendary Sky divine soldier? Black Orchid of the Golden Crow clan looked at IKA, who was the last to fly over, and asked in shock. I'm a human. IKA snorted coldly. Other than her own people, IKA was absolutely ruthless to her enemies. She was designed in ancient times and was born to kill enemies. IKA was not a human. She was a battle angel, the crystallization of ancient wisdom and the mutation created by Yu Yang. Originally, she was only a saint-rank battle angel. It was unknown whether it was because of Yu Yang's blood or some unknown mutation during the manufacturing process. But the IKA that was born was far beyond the saint-ranked. Everyone originally estimated that she might be a god-ranked existence. However, with her wisdom and growth, everyone's judgment was shaken. This was because Ika's growth speed was too fast. Originally, her strength was far inferior to Red and Aman. She was also inferior to Hornless Dragon Jiangying and Duo. Now, after training in the Heaven Stairway, she had already caught up, except for Golden Crown Thorny Flower Queen Duo, who had the fastest growth and unlimited growth. IKA had already caught up with Red, Aman, and Jiangying. Even if Red, Aman, and Jiangying had all comprehended and possessed their own unique power of the ancient code, and had already completely absorbed and started to use the divine power bestowed by the ancient gods, they could no longer leave her, who was naturally good at killing. Looks like there are benefits to being a playboy. At least when fighting, there will be many helpers. Golden Crow Clan's Black Orchid laughed softly. Originally, I thought it would be very simple. I did not expect that each of you would be more outstanding than the other. Today is destined to be a bitter battle. Come, little girls, I'm doing it for my husband. You're also doing it for your husband or master. Let's fight to the death together. Sister Yi, bring Jiangying and IKA first. Duo, and I will follow later. Princess Sisai knew that since Black Orchid was the second concubine, then there must be the first and third concubines. The first and third concubines must have already entered. Golden Crow Clan's Black Orchid was just an obstacle at the door. Having confidence is a good thing, but sometimes one should not be too confident. Golden Crow Clan's Black Orchid finished speaking. She raised her hand. She quickly condensed an energy ball with a diameter of 100 meters. It was as powerful as the sun and smashed on top of Princess Sisai's head. Princess Sisai shouted and charged forward bravely. She waved her divine sword and completely ignored the energy ball above her head. She made a posture of fighting to the death with the enemy. Hornless Dragon Jiangying, who was standing in the back row, stepped out from the crowd. Her hands formed an ancient rune circle. The supreme dragon god's divine power exploded and forcefully stopped the energy ball that was comparable to the sun above Princess Sisai's head. She stomped her feet, and countless energy emerged from her body. Under the guidance of the power of the law and will, it turned into a water dragon that shot straight into the sky. This water dragon first shot furiously into the sky and became bigger and bigger. It looked down. It swooped down and swallowed the energy ball into its stomach. It tried its best to burn the giant dragon so much that it kept twisting and spinning. It vomited on the spot. However, in an instant, it was swallowed by the water dragon again. After swallowing and spitting a few times, the energy ball became much smaller and turned into a dragon pearl. The water dragon swallowed and spat in the sky, completely breaking away from the control of its original owner, Wulan. It no longer had the possibility of killing Princess Sisai. On the other side of the battle, Princess Sisai waved the Prison Emperor divine sword and slashed down, a sword that could destroy heaven and earth. It was actually caught by Wulan's index and middle fingers. I've said it before, Being too confident is not a good thing. Wulan of the Golden Crow clan caught the Prison Emperor Divine Sword with one hand and condensed 9 energy balls that were a few times stronger than the one just now. She exploded them in front of Princess Sisai. Not good, Drunken Cat screamed. So Wulan's move just now was a trick to lure the enemy. Protect. With a cold snort, 100 times faster than lightning, Ik had already appeared in front of Princess Sisai. In her third battle form, she opened her wing-like angel's blade and protected her mistress. Even if the planet exploded before she was destroyed, no one would be able to harm a single hair on Princess Sisai. The 9 sun balls exploded, shaking the heavens and earth. Other than hitting IKA, there were 3 more that flew towards hornless dragon Jiangying, Drunken Cat, and Golden Crown Thorny Flower Queen duo under the command of Wulan's will. The Drunken Cat Big Sis had the most trouble catching it. She was originally the weakest. She did not dare to take them head-on and instantly teleported behind duo. When Jiangying's second water dragon rose up and swallowed the sun ball in front of her into a second dragon pearl, a strange flower had already grown behind duo. It opened its mouth and swallowed the 2 sun balls in one gulp. Then it continued to evolve and turned into 2 blazing sunflowers. Wulan was stunned when she saw duo's swallowing method was even easier than hornless dragon Jiangying's water dragon. A plant-type beast could also restrain her Golden Crow clan's 9 brilliant sun. Arrow. IKA took 5 consecutive hits from Wulan's sunball. She, who was protecting Princess Sisai, was knocked back 100 meters. She could not help but fly into a rage. Her guardian beast, Wishing Little Angel, appeared in a flash and immediately blew its horn, giving its master the greatest boost. A war statue rose above Ika's head. It was similar to her image. It was hundreds of meters tall, looking extremely solemn and dignified like a god. That incomparably huge battle angel drew her arm like a bow and used vengeance as an arrow, nailing the Golden Crow clan's Wulan's body. Wulan was stunned again. She was hit by this arrow of vengeance. Only then did she realize that this was an existence that could not be resisted by normal laws. No power could evade or defend against it. She did not know that IKA had the Hatred Inherent skill. When the Hatred Inherent skill was triggered, IKA would immediately gain 10 times the power of hatred and go berserk. At the same time, she would be immune to all negative states. The target she attacked would be nailed with the arrow of vengeance, which could not be dispelled by any external force before the enemy died. In other words, unless IK was killed or the time limit was up and the hatred was eliminated, this state of hatred would not disappear. Boom, 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 boom. In an instant, Ik had already fired hundreds of cannons, and the light pillars were like rain. Drunken Cat and the hornless dragon girl were so scared that they quickly dodged to the sides to avoid being accidentally hit by the energy cannons. As long as duo continued to cooperate with the summoning of various thorny flowers, letting those thorny flowers greedily devour energy to evolve. For duo, the more intense the battle, the more thorny flowers she would have, the stronger they would be, and the faster she would grow. Destroy. Ika's eyes were red. She raised her arms and condensed a terrifying giant energy cannon behind her, allowing her to hold it above her head. The energy light in the cannon's muzzle was condensing crazily. Although the power of the sunball just now was terrifying compared to the energy of this giant cannon, it was like the difference between an eagle and a sparrow. If this cannon hit, not to mention a person, even a mountain would be instantly wiped out. Wulan, who had opened her palm to defend against Ika's intensive attacks, changed her expression, shouted crazy, and hurriedly jumped to dodge. A destructive beam of energy spewed out from the cannon's muzzle. It surpassed the sound. It shattered the space through which the beam of light passed. Whoosh! In just a second, it blasted a giant hole with a diameter of 10 meters on the unbreakable city wall that had not been damaged by the explosions of several sunballs and nearly 100 energy cannons. It was unknown where it had hid inside. Only after a dozen seconds, After the terrifying shockwave came, there was an earth-shattering explosion. Wulan's face instantly turned pale. It was not that she did not know the sturdiness of this city wall. She had tried before, and with almost half of her strength, it had only caused a slight crack in the wall. The internal buildings protected by the divine grimoires and the power of the rules were practically indestructible. Now, the opponent's cannon had blasted a giant hole in the entire city wall. Wasn't this heavenly divine soldier's highest destructive power above hers? Fortunately, the opponent's cannon was a little slow, and it could not be fired at any time. Otherwise, wouldn't she be smashed to pieces if she was hit directly? Looks like I have to go all out. You little girls are really too dangerous. Wulan looked at her palm that was faintly aching. Although the opponent's high-speed shooting could not break her defense, it could not continue like this. She would definitely lose if she dragged this on. Don't be a companion anymore. She had to kill these little girls as fast as possible. Wulan of the Golden Crow tribe started to look serious. Her eyes turned blood red. Just the power of her blood-red eyes was enough to force the hornless dragon Jiang to take a few steps back. Her jade-like palms flew and slashed across the sky. Tens of hundreds of feather-shaped sword chi slashed down and rose, forming numerous sword chi vortexes in the sky, engulfing Princess Sisai, Drunken Cat, Jiang IKA, and Duo. Before the sword chi finished, Black Orchid raised her arms high and raised her claws towards the sky. Facing the girls within the sword chi, she pressed down heavily. Two golden claws that were 1,000 meters long came crashing down, covering the sky and covering the earth. Her target was the weakest Drunken Cat Big Sis on the left and Princess Qian on the right. Although Princess Qian had yet to display her top-level compatibility, out of caution and a woman's strong intuition, Black Orchid felt that this sword-wielding woman was actually the most difficult to deal with out of all the women in front of her. If she was not killed as soon as possible, this female warrior with a divine weapon would definitely be a disaster in the end. Divine weapons must not be underestimated, no matter whose hands it was in. There's an opening. Counterattack. Princess Sisai screamed. The hornless dragon Jiang turned into a water dragon and accompanied Princess Sisai as they charged toward Wulan. Duo summoned thousands of thorny flowers, forming a sea of flowers that resisted the golden claws in the sky. She also used a wall of flowers to block the sword chi and open up a path through the sword chi vortex for Princess Sisai and Jiang to attack. Kill. IKA was even faster. She had already waved her Angel's Blade and attacked Black Orchid from side, who had just cast two big moves. Chapter 988. On the other side of the royal garden, Yu, Red, Man, the spirit of chaos, and the Reaper Mantis had also encountered an enemy. If Princess Sisai was here, she would definitely be surprised by this person's appearance. The enemy, standing in front of you, looked exactly the same as the three-legged Golden Crow tribe's Black Orchid at the West Tower. There was no difference. The only difference was that this enemy's tribe was different. She was not a three-legged Golden Crow, but a three-legged Golden Toad. Both of them were from the Eastern Goblin tribe, but their innate abilities and battle styles were completely different. I don't have the patience of Black Orchid. Come me together. I hate those boring cat-and-mouse games the most. The Golden Toad tribe's beauty looked exactly the same as Black Orchid in terms of appearance and attire. Other than the difference in attitude, even her voice was hard to distinguish. She waved her long sleeves and pointed at you coldly. You will be the first to die by my hands. For Shao San, I will definitely kill you at the foot of this tower. Yu was a very kind person. She was the kind of person who would not even step on an ant to death. However, for the sake of her brother, she decided to go all out and kill the enemy at the front. Her eyes showed a kind of determination that had never been seen before. She unconsciously bit her lower lip to dispel her nervousness. The Angel's Blade that Yu Yang had specially made for her spread out like a pair of silver wings. At the same time, her summoning grimoire appeared in the air. Her guardian beast, Tsunami Witch, flew out from the golden light. She opened her arms and fused with Yu Yu's body in the form of energy, ready to fight alongside her master. Aside from that, the beautiful silk umbrella that the beautiful silk celestial maiden had gifted to her also quickly spun through the air before drifting into Yu Yu's hand. Yu Yu had originally wanted to give this umbrella to Anan, but the lass said that she already had the spirit mirror and was unwilling to accept the umbrella. And Fallen Beauty also thought that it would be more comfortable to use the Death, Aurora, and Nirvana Sunflower. Yu Yu had also wanted to give this umbrella to Impatience, but Sky Law had always been cultivating in the Heaven Stairway, so Yu Yu hadn't had the time to change hands. Right now, the beautiful silk umbrella, a powerful quasi-god weapon, seemed to acknowledge Yu Yu more. During the battle, he did not even wait for Yu Yu to summon him. They automatically flew out to assist in the battle. How arrogant! When Red heard the words of this three-legged golden toad race enemy, she was so angry that her navel was crooked. What kind of people were they? You're so arrogant just because you have some ability. What do you take us for? Roar. Oh man, the Earth Divine General was different from Red. She didn't like to use her mouth and preferred to use her fists directly. The Reaper Mantis sister had been reborn from the Door of Rebirth and obtained a human body. She also received the enlightenment of the Wisdom's sacred fruit and the deity's radiance. She already possessed extremely high intelligence and EQ. When she saw Man and Red protecting Yu Yu, she had a thought and silently slid backwards, blocking the spirit of chaos that was preparing to charge together. She changed to leading the spirit of chaos and secretly flew towards the small door at the side, preparing to cross the enemy's line of defense and sneak in. The spirit of chaos was extremely unwilling. She preferred to fight directly, but the spirit of chaos was the one that Yu Yang scolded the most. He had stipulated that no matter when, as long as Red, Jiang, Ying, and the others were by her side, she had to listen to other people's opinions. Unless there was no one by her side, then she could make her own decisions. The three-legged golden toad race beauty seemed to have noticed the Reaper Mantis sister and the spirit of chaos crossing the boundary. She snorted coldly. "Two little mice, you want to ruin my plans?" She waved her long sleeves. A golden toad appeared at each of the three doors below the city gate tower. The golden toad in the middle was the biggest. It was 100 meters tall. When it opened its mouth, it seemed like it could swallow the entire world. Although the golden toads at the two small doors were smaller, they were still close to 60 meters in size. The Reaper Mantis sister was shocked. Such a big toad. The spirit of chaos was a little confused. It was obviously a four-legged toad. Why was it called a three-legged golden toad? With her intelligence, it was already not easy for her to think of this question. It was probably not possible for her to find out the answer. Go and die. Red was furious. You dare to be distracted when you are facing me and Aman's joint attack? She slid at high speed and pressed one of her hands on the golden toad race beauty's ample chest. Her divine power shook. The golden toad race beauty's expression changed drastically, because she just realized that the woman who attacked her was actually a god's messenger. Her sternum was in so much pain that it felt like it was going to crack. However, the golden toad race's super strong defense and innate talent of soft breath allowed her to negate most of Red's attack. Red's second palm attack arrived. The golden toad race beauty leaped into the air with a shocking jumping force. A man charged forward like a train. She was unstoppable. She fiercely crashed into the golden toad race beauty's body. As the golden toad race beauty screamed in pain, a man's head smashed in her face, shattering the golden toad race beauty's nose bone. The golden toad race beauty was like a cannonball as she crashed into the city wall. That unbreakable city wall was cracked by a man's terrifying strength. In terms of strength, who could be compared to a man who possessed the heart of earth and the 5 elemental pillars' divine power? In terms of battle techniques, a man was not the best among the many guardian beasts. But in terms of brute force, if she was ranked second, no one would dare to rank first. At the moment when the golden toad race beauty was still in so much pain that she couldn't move, a man charged forward again. At this moment, Her 5 elemental pillars' divine power was fully unleashed. She didn't hide anymore and was invincible. She crashed into the big and small golden toads that came to save her like a hot knife through butter. She sent a 100-meter large golden toad and a 50-meter small golden toad flying into the air and crashed heavily into the golden toad race beauty's body. Rumble! The golden toad race beauty's tongue stuck out for half a foot. Her eyes bulged and almost popped out. Her sternum had collapsed, and she was almost killed by a man in one move. If she wasn't from a special race like the golden toad race, she would definitely die from a man's attack. So painful. You guys have guts. How dare you hurt me like this? Since it's like this, fine. I'll eat you guys even if I don't have this beautiful appearance. The golden toad race beauty slowly raised her head from the inlaid part of the city wall and roared. Her stomach bulged at a speed visible to the naked eye. Her face quickly became ugly. It was 100 times uglier than when a man broke her nose. Many red warts densely grew on her skin. The skin on her arms and legs became rough. Layers of old skin overlapped each other. The muscles underneath also looked like there were hundreds and thousands of rats moving around, gathering crazily. The biggest change was her stomach. In less than half a minute, the golden toad race beauty had already turned into a golden toad person with a bulging stomach. Because her stomach was too big and her limbs were too thick, she couldn't stand anymore. She could only lie on the ground. As she breathed in and out, her sternum that was broken by a man's divine power instantly recovered. Seeing the enemy's abnormal transformation, Red quickly turned around and secretly protected Yu, who was increasing her strength. A man was not afraid at all. She turned around and took a few steps before charging forward again. The biggest golden toad person's stomach bulged and blocked a man's charge. Another golden toad person opened its huge mouth and vomited green smoke that made people dizzy. A man continuously punched the ugly golden toad person's head, but found that her strength seemed to be completely useless against this enemy. "Oh man, let me." Yu suddenly understood that this was not an enemy that could be defeated with strength. To kill this enemy, she had to contribute her greatest strength. Although she was kind-hearted, this was related to her brother's safety. At this moment, she would not hold back. "I'll eat you." The golden toad person was surprised to find that Yu was the weakest among the women. Rather than fighting a divine general with unparalleled brute force, it would be better to get rid of the weakest human woman. Her body swelled up, her mouth opened, and a long tongue dripping with mucus was thrown towards Yu like a milky-colored ribbon. It was prepared to wrap around this human woman and swallow her. Everything in the world, as long as it entered the stomach of the golden toad person, no life form would be able to escape. This was the golden toad person's most terrifying predatory ability. When you use Angel's blade slash down, heaven and earth seemed to split apart. Her long tongue was cut into two, falling to the ground. Just as the golden toad person looked in disbelief at her toughest tongue being cut off, Yu flew over like lightning. She spun the beautiful silk umbrella to block the poisonous smoke that the golden toad person crazily breathed out. The tip of the umbrella pierced deeply into the enemy's head. She then closed the umbrella and sent the screaming golden toad person flying into the air. Red stayed in the air for too long. Her scream exploded and shook heaven and earth. The golden toad person's hidden eardrums exploded. 2 blobs of blood and countless amounts of white poisonous liquid flew out. Although the scream was not fatal, the golden toad person's eyes rolled back. Her severed tongue hung weakly outside her lips. A man sent the large golden toad flying. She leaped into the air and grabbed the slowly falling golden toad person with both hands, smashing it heavily into the ground. The other golden toad person opened its mouth to bite. Yu opened the beautiful silk umbrella and spun it. The golden toad person flew back 100 meters. Returned to Earth. A man released all her 5 elements' divine power. She raised her fist and punched the spot that Yu had pierced through with the beautiful silk umbrella. No matter how good the ugly golden toad person's skin was, it could not withstand this blow. Brain matter spurted out from the small hole in the head. The entire head was flattened by a man's punch. The large golden-toed person hurriedly tried to save its master. It leaped into the air, opened its huge mouth, and flicked its long tongue, wanting to swallow a man in one bite. A man turned around and stared at it angrily. Her eyes instantly became blood red. A ball of raging flame quickly ignited on a man's body. The large golden-toed person who leaped into the air suddenly lost its life. Its eyes lost its color in an instant. Its huge body fell powerlessly in front of a man. That long tongue could not be extended anymore and fell to the ground with a thud. It was less than half a meter away from a man, the golden-toed person who was on the verge of death. He also let out a scream. His head split open and blood flowed out from all his orifices. His two bulging eyes dilated rapidly and his heartbeat stopped. A man's demise had not been activated for a long time. In today's battle, even blood pupil double kill had appeared at the same time. This time, the golden-toed person was really unlucky. The little golden toad that was being beaten by the Reaper Mantis sister and the chaotic spirit, and the golden toad that was forced back by Yu's beautiful silk umbrella. He let out a scream at the same time and fell to the ground dead. A gold-summoning grimoire exploded from the golden-toed person's body and instantly dimmed. At this moment, the Sun King who was beating up Yu Yang in the purple gold palace suddenly stopped attacking. He suppressed his anger and shouted, "Titan you are so cunning." So Jizun was always by your side. She actually killed my queen. What kind of power is this? Is this the power of Jizun? A kind of peaceful and tranquil divine power. Yu Yang gently wiped away the blood at the corner of his lips and smiled. If Jizun was here, you would have been defeated long ago. Do you think that the information that the clown gave a year ago is still useful now? We are no longer the us from a year ago. The Sun King was about to step forward and attack this cunning brat. Suddenly, he realized that there was a huge rune circle under Yu Yang's feet that was slowly forming a wheel. He couldn't help but be shocked. This is the eternal wheel? Didn't you also hide your ultimate move? I was beaten up badly by you just now. It would be impolite not to reciprocate. This time, I will let you have a taste of my fist. Yu Yang stretched out his arms, and the eternal wheel expanded to a radius of 50 meters. The Sun King realized that it was useless to struggle with the ancient code. He was firmly nailed to the ground. Other than thinking, he couldn't move anything else. Chapter 989. Yu Yang's left hand ignited the heaven's fury fire lotus, and his right hand was the twilight flame. In the sky, the red heaven divine flame fell like a waterfall, and the earth Gui-in fire on the ground had quietly covered the soles of the Sun King's feet. Whether the Sun King moved or not, as long as Yu Yang launched an attack, it would cause a huge explosion. The Sun King could not move, but he was not afraid. No matter how powerful the fire energy was, it could not hurt him. Even if it could hurt his body, he could use the sun clock to reverse time and eliminate all the energy. Unless it was divine power, Yu Yang would not be able to hurt a single hair on his head. The Sun King had enough confidence. He, who had the body of a demigod, was not afraid of any fire in the world. Even the most powerful red heaven divine flame and earth Gui-in fire would only cause pain when they exploded. However, Yu Yang did not attack with flames. He stretched out his big hand, as if he was asking for a certain sword from his followers behind him, just like a knight who was about to fight in front of battle. What kind of sword was there that Yu Yang could not carry with him? The Sun King was a little confused. Yu Yang had a grimoire and a storage ring. Why did he not even bring his sword with him? For the first time, the Sun King realized that he still did not see through Yu Yang. While he was surprised, he suddenly saw 3 girls at the entrance of the Purple Temple. One was the Lamia Loli that the Sun King had known for a long time, and the other 2 were the Eastern Goblin Tribe's dragon sisters that the Sun King did not know, even in the clown's intelligence. This pair of dragon sisters was completely different from the ordinary Eastern Goblin Tribe. Their bloodline seemed to be pure, and faintly, they had a transcendent temperament. This temperament, could it be? The Sun King's heart trembled. There was a hidden super strong tribe in the heaven realm. The men and women there were extremely similar to this pair of dragon sisters. Could it be that they were also one of them? One of the dragon sisters flew forward and shouted. Amidst a burst of colorful light, his body began to transform in a mysterious and boundless manner, transforming into a dazzling double-winged sword. The sword of Bai naturally floated into Yu Yang's hand. When his large hand held the hilt of the sword, it was immediately like blood, flesh, and veins. His energy was instantly connected and integrated. Yu Yang didn't need to circulate his qi. As long as he willed it, the energy in his body would immediately transform into astral swords and shoot out. With the support of the war God servant's infinite swords, the astral swords were at least 100 times more powerful than when Yu Yang unleashed them at full strength. War God Guard, humanoid divine weapon. Sun King finally understood that this damned Titan you not only had that demon-like earth deity weapon, but he also had a humanoid deity weapon. Although there were many capable people in the central shrine, there were very few who knew how to wield a humanoid divine weapon. Even if they could wield a humanoid divine weapon, how could they be like Yu Taikan, who actually used a dragon lady, a humanoid divine weapon? Damn it, he was trapped in the eternal wheel and couldn't escape. Sun King didn't think that the Sun Bell and recovery innate skill could reverse everything. It was absolutely impossible to recover from an injury caused by a humanoid divine weapon. It was the same as the power of the laws. Yu Yang waved his sword and slashed forward. What he used was not a combat technique like the earth-splitting slash, nor was it a fatal strike that used all of his strength. It was just a casual slash made with his mind and heart. However, the pillars and roof of the entire purple gold shrine were slashed into two halves by this slash. The brilliance of the sword penetrated through the roof and shot into the sky. The space of the eternal wheel was also slashed open with a crack that was tens of meters long. For the first time since the battle with Yu Yang, there was a deep wound on Sun King's shoulder. Although blood couldn't be condensed because of the eternal wheel, Sun King knew that he was injured by this slash, and it was irreversible. Originally, with Titan Yu's strength, no matter how he attacked, he wouldn't be injured. The small damage on the surface could be completely reversed by the Sun Bell and recovery innate skill. The huge gap between their levels was a gap that Titan Yu couldn't overcome. Now, with the humanoid divine weapon in hand, he had the qualifications to fight with him as an equal. Now, it wasn't just him who injured him. Now, he could also injure him. What was even more strange was that Sun King discovered that the Heaven's Fury Fire Lotus, Twilight Flame, Scarlet Divine Flame, and Earthly Een Flame that were slashed by Yu Yang didn't explode no matter what kind of characteristics they had. Instead, it was like flowing water. Under the command of Yu Yang's will, it followed the sword Qi and crazily drilled into the wound on his shoulder. Within a few seconds, Sun King felt a burning pain in his heart and soul. Hot, extremely hot. How did this cunning guy know that his Sun Bell and recovery innate skill couldn't remove the energy in his body? Sun King didn't have time to think too much. While Yu Yang had finished his move, he struggled with all his might. The eternal wheel cracked, shattered, and disappeared. The 4 types of flames that had crazily drilled into his body from the wound were also instantly blocked out by Sun King's protective energy. Don't even think of hurting me with just a little trick. Sun King roared and forcefully spat out the 4 types of flames from his throat, despite his internal organs being shaken. Bao come. How could Yu Yang give Sun King a chance to adjust? At the same time that he returned to his human form, he reached behind him again. Feather, one of the dragon ladies, had already flown up. In the dazzling brilliance, she transformed into a beautiful and unparalleled treasure bow and landed in Yu Yang's palm. As soon as the bow was in his hand, Yu Yang's innate qi, which had been consumed by more than half, rose again. With the help of Feather's energy, Yu Yang's willpower, battle intent, and innate qi energy all exploded. At first, Sun King wanted to rush up and counterattack, but now that he saw that Yu Yang still had a humanoid divine weapon, he immediately retreated, summoned his grimoire, and raised his shield. He didn't want to take a head-on. In addition to the shield, Sun King also raised a raging inferno divine shield with demonic flames in front of him. Although the raging inferno divine shield was a holy rank treasure in terms of defense, it was comparable to a divine weapon. Some divine weapons might not even be as powerful as it, whether it was close combat or long-range attack. As long as it was within 10,000 meters, any attack on the raging inferno divine shield would only cause its owner to suffer half of the attack's power. The other half would be reflected back to the attacker by the raging inferno divine shield. Ordinary swords and arrows could not break through the defense of a holy rank treasure. Anyone who wanted to attack the owner of the raging inferno divine shield would only be rebounded to death. If it wasn't for the terrifying power of Yu Yang's humanoid divine weapon, Sun King wouldn't have wanted to take out the raging inferno divine shield so quickly. These were all life-saving trump cards that he didn't want to take out easily. Eat my arrow. Yu Yang pulled the bai bow into the shape of a full moon and put on the purple lightning condensed from his own energy. This bai divine arrow, with ice as the arrowhead, purple lightning as the shaft, divine flame as the feather, and the power of law as the power, was already aimed at Sun King's heart. Yu Yang let out a cry that was louder than thousands of troops and horses. He pulled the bowstring with all his strength and shot this arrow with the will of destruction. How? The bowstring exploded like a thunderbolt. Faster than the sound, under Sun King's gaze, the purple lightning flashed and disappeared. When it appeared again, it had already passed through the grimoire's shield, then through the raging inferno divine shield, and even through Sun King's physical defense, through his heart, and through his back. The purple lightning arrow came out from the other side of the shield. It went beyond sound waves and pierced through several giant pillars in the hall. Finally, it successfully broke through the wall and came out. Other than a string of holes, there was no trace of the purple lightning arrow, as if it had never existed in the first place. Sun King's face was full of disbelief. He had already used the raging inferno divine shield. How could he let Titan use arrow pierce through his heart? The grimoire shield was completely ineffective, and the raging inferno divine shield did not reflect anything. How could this arrow be so fast? Forget about him. Even a god wouldn't be able to withstand this arrow. It was too scary. No wonder Titan Yu dared to fight with him, even though he knew that he was the Sun King of the Sun God Palace in the Central Shrine. He had such a terrifying humanoid divine weapon. The raging inferno divine shield let out a buzzing sound, like an injured beast. It was crying out in pain. Kill you. Sun King did not bother to check the raging inferno divine shield. He exploded with all his strength and rushed forward to fight Yu Yang, who had just finished using the Bai Bao. He definitely couldn't let this brat use his humanoid divine weapon again. It was too dangerous. He had to get close to him and use his strongest power to exhaust his stamina. He had to use endless attacks to torture him to death in this purple gold hall. His own power and level were far higher than Yu Yang's. As long as Yu Yang didn't have the chance to use his humanoid divine weapon, the final victory would definitely belong to him. Ah, little Winley screamed. She was so angry that her eyes were about to crack open. Her binding chain's inherent skill was activated to its limit. Blood flowed out of her eyes. This is the interest I'm paying you back. Yu Yang ignored the Sun King Arena's heavy punch on his chest. When Xiao Wen Li's binding chain's inherent skill took effect, he immediately unleashed his world-exterminating wheel. Forming a wheel with his hands, he slashed the Sun King's chest that was already heavily injured. Sun King immediately felt the shadow of death creeping into his heart. It had been a long time since he felt the fear of death. It was very clear now, causing his soul to tremble. This Titan, you actually had such a terrifying ultimate skill, like the world-exterminating wheel. He was waiting to ambush him. How could a young man like him have so many unique skills? Other than divine weapon, divine equipment, and earth divine weapon, this brat also had the humanoid divine weapon that belonged to the Eastern Celestial Tribe's Dragon Lady sisters. He also had the Eternal Wheel and World Exterminating Wheel. Just where did he come from? to actually receive such favor from the heavens. This was too unfair. Originally, he thought that Jiwuri was the world's most favored child. Who would have thought that this young man was even more favored by the heavens? The eternal wheel and world-exterminating wheel were all in one person. He also had a dragon lady as his master, a divine equipment, and a divine beast as his companions. Who exactly was this person? Sun King used all of his strength to break free from Little One Li's binding chains' inherent skill. The moment the world-exterminating wheel passed through his body, he jumped back and escaped pathetically, dodging the world-exterminating wheel as fatal attack. He did not look at the damage that the world-exterminating wheel had caused to the purple gold hull. He only stared blankly at his own fingers. 3 bloody fingers silently proved how terrifying his opponent was. With his strength as the Sun King, he still ended up in such a state. If it was another person who came, wouldn't that be sending food to tighten you? Chapter 990. Do you think you can kill me like this? Sun King's expression was very calm, but he was angry in his heart. He was angry as if he trusted a friend, but was heartlessly deceived by the other party. Originally, Sun King thought that he had seen through this brat and believed that this brat still had trump cards, but definitely not many. As long as he was careful, he would be able to take him down. The Sun King felt that as long as he paid a certain price, he would be able to win the entire battle. When he stood high above in front of the enemy's corpse, he should sigh at how difficult it was to win this battle, or at how rare it was to meet such a difficult opponent. However, it was no longer a question of victory. Titan Yu's actions showed that he didn't just want to stubbornly resist. This kid wanted to kill him. He wanted to kill the Sun King. The humiliation of being deceived and provoked maliciously exploded in his heart. Good fellow, you brat. You are crazy enough. You want to kill me, Sun King? You're not qualified. Sun King took a deep breath and forcefully suppressed the anger in his heart. He snorted and said, "Even if the Conqueror Queen came personally, she would not be able to kill me. I am no longer the coward who ran away 10,000 years ago. I am the Sun King of the Solar Divine Palace." Yu Yang did not speak. He gently wiped away the 2 bright red streaks of blood that flowed down from Little One Li's eyes. He gently kissed the little baby's slightly pale little face due to overexertion. Sun King clenched his fists tightly. No matter what technique you have, you will definitely die because the gap between us is too big. His body erupted with a glorious light like that of a god. Even if he had to use up the divine power that he had not been able to gather and use all the sun divine power that he had accumulated for 10,000 years, even if he had to destroy his perfect body, even if his strength would drop after the battle, he was determined to kill this hateful young man in front of him. It was too hateful. Even in the central shrine, that high and mighty heaven's favored one, Jiwuri, had never looked at him with such a murderous gaze. This Titan you did not want to win. He wanted to kill him. Die! The Sun King angrily expanded the time domain and the law of time, enveloping the entire purple gold divine temple. He then condensed the ultimate sun divine power in his hand. Then, he aimed at Yu Yang's heart and attacked with an unstoppable force. You pierced my heart with an arrow. I'll also smash your heart and return that punch to you. Yu Yang pushed away Yao and Feather who were in front of him. With the support of Little One Li's energy, his arms turned into a whirlpool, hoping to weaken the Sun King's fatal blow. Suddenly, the Sun King retracted his golden fist in a strange way. At the moment when Yu Yang's spinning arm missed, the Sun King's golden fist suddenly stopped. Then, with the help of the law of time, he launched a second attack. This time, there were no more obstructions. The punch, which was imbued with divine power, landed heavily on Yu Yang's chest, directly breaking his sternum, and his fist sank deep into his chest. Die! The Sun King roared happily. With the help of the time domain and the law of time, any defense would become a joke. This was because the entire space field was controlled by his own time field. I'll get it back to you. Yu Yang spat out a blood arrow, which splattered towards the Sun King's face. Little Wen Li's two blades slid over from behind like fish, sticking close to Yu Yang's skin, passing through the tattered clothes on his body, and fiercely slashed at the Sun King's fist that carried divine power. The sunken fist shook, and the divine power emitted a golden light. Nothing could hurt it, but the skin above his arm was instantly frozen, greatly slowing down the speed at which the Sun King retracted his arm. The whip legs of the two war god guards, Yao and Yu, heavily kicked the Sun King's knee. Although they were unable to cause serious damage, they successfully caused the Sun King's center of gravity to shift slightly. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yu Yang counterattacked. With both hands, his 10 fingers were like swords, inserted into the left and right ears of the Sun King. He Guizhong and Qi Xiaoyan erupted at the same time. How powerful was the innate invisible sword Qi? In the past, Yu Yang had yet to become a sword Qi, but it was already invincible. Even the Sun King would not be able to resist the two swords that he had condensed today. Moreover, most of the Sun King's divine power had already struck Yu Yang's heart with a heavy punch, like two sharp daggers piercing through a bag filled with sand. He Guizhong and Qi Xiaoyan successfully broke through the protective energy of the Sun King and pierced straight into his ears. The Sun King only felt a pain in his head, and his vision was already pitch black. He didn't have time to retract his right fist, so he punched out with his left fist again. A huge golden fist, carrying divine power. It was as powerful as lightning. With a single punch, it sent the rescuing Yao and Yu flying, blasted away Little Wen Li's double blade protection, and smashed into Yu Yang's chest like a cannonball. Originally, his goal was to shatter Yu Yang's head. However, due to the pain of the two swords piercing through his ears, he was no longer able to accurately capture his target. Yu Yang didn't dare to take it head-on either. He leaped backwards and tried his best to dispel the opponent's fist aura. Puff! An arrow of blood spurted out from Yu Yang's throat. He felt that the place where he was punched had completely shattered his sternum, and the lungs below had been turned into a sea of blood by the damned sun god's power. It was as if a volcano had suddenly erupted there, suffocating, unable to breathe. Whether it was the pain or the injury to his lungs, Yu Yang was unable to breathe. Yu Yang had never experienced such pain before. The divine power blasted into his body. Even if the innate sword Qi had been reborn and the nirvana flames had cleansed his marrow many times, it was still difficult for him to withstand such a blow. If it weren't for the innate sword Qi, the nirvana flames, and the devouring instinct consuming the sun god's power at the same time, Yu Yang had no doubt that he would fall to the ground and die if he was punched by the Sun King. At this moment, Yu Yang felt his mind go blank. Other than pain, there was still pain. He couldn't come up with any plans or reactions. So tired, so painful, I really want to fall down. Even if he knew it was impossible, his body really couldn't bear it. Yu Yang aimed at his left chest and fiercely hit the white Shuanghua sword. The heart that was punched had already stopped beating. Because of the opponent's time domain and the law of time, as well as the torture of the sun god's power, as long as the heart stopped beating, it would never automatically recover and would only continue to weaken forever. The reason why Yu Yang didn't use the Shuanghua sword just now was to keep it to disperse the remaining divine power in his body. If it was in normal times, it would be fine to endure more pain and let the devouring instinct absorb the divine power. But now, he couldn't waste even a second. Jump! Yu Yang found that the power of the Shuanghua sword couldn't completely offset the attack of the sun god's power on his heart. His heart recovered a little, but it still couldn't beat. Little Wenli screamed. 2 streaks of bloody tears flowed out of her eyes. Her pair of small hands, disregarding her life, urged the pure light energy to form a healing light ball and pressed it on Yu Yang's chest. Sun King's body swayed a few times. He, who had Gui Tsong and Xiao Yin's swords penetrated his ears, was still able to stand. His face was stained with Yu Yang's blood, as well as his own. That slightly distorted face looked somewhat sinister. It's useless. My divine power shattered your heart. Any healing is useless. You're dead. Little Wenli heard this. Shock appeared on her face. She suppressed her fear and allowed her tears to flow freely. She bit her lips tightly, suppressing the urge to cry. At the same time, she frantically condensed a ball of light, hoping to disperse the divine power that was still wreaking havoc in Yu Yang's chest. Yu Yang, on the other hand, calmed down. He stopped Yao and Yu from helping, and even made them stand further away. Sun King wiped away the blood in his eyes, and found that this Titan, Yu's expression, was unusually calm. That kind of calmness was the sign of storm? Not good. This brat wanted to perish together. For some reason, Sun King, who thought he could win for sure, felt an inexplicable fear in his heart. In order to suppress the fear in his heart, Sun King suppressed the dizziness and pain in his head, stepped forward again, and waved his golden fist toward Yu Yang. Boom! A kind of divine power that Sun King had never felt before appeared on Yu Yang's body. That kind of divine power was filled with resentment and hostility, as if it wanted to destroy everything in the world. That kind of hatred that cursed the heaven and earth made even Sun King's soul tremble. Compared to this kind of divine power, the sun god's divine power was like the setting sun in the cold winter, powerless. Fortunately, Titan, you could not truly unleash the power of this divine power. All he could do was drive a trace of it. Sun King retracted his fist and realized that his golden fist had turned pitch black. His opponent's divine power had cursed his own divine power, and like a plague, it spread from his fingers to his arm, then to his shoulder, and then to his heart. His entire body felt as if it had fallen into an icy hell. Sun King turned around and retreated hurriedly. Since Titan was going to die, why not retreat to the side and watch quietly before that? Yu Yang, along with little Wen Li, was sent flying 100 meters away. After forcefully taking a punch from Sun King, the bones in his fist cracked. In terms of absolute power, he was indeed several levels lower than Sun King. Yao Yu and Yao Yu hurriedly helped Yu Yang up. Yu Yang pressed his chest, and his heart still did not beat. The blood in his body was barely circulating under the guidance of the innate sword qi, but even so, his body was getting weaker and weaker. Kill! Yu Yang roared silently, his eyes filled with killing intent. As long as he killed Sun King, there would be a possibility of stopping the healing. Otherwise, he would die for sure. Little Wen Li suddenly threw Yao Yu and Yao Yu out of the purple gold palace. She wanted them to call Yu and the others to come and save him. Sun King waved his hand and shot out dozens of light pillars. Yu Yang leaped into the air and shot towards Sun King like a soaring dragon. Other than refracting all the light pillars, he also charged towards Sun King with his divine power. Sun King already had battle experience, so he did not take the attack head-on anymore. Instead, he threw out a ball of light that was extremely flexible. It looked like it was alive, but it was not. It was Sun King's special beast, Echo Light. Yu Yang flicked his finger and flicked the Echo Light, which had a stronger attack power, away without expending any energy. He stepped down from the sky, forcing Sun King to fight head-on. Sun King turned his body and kicked sideways. He was still unwilling to fight head-on with Yu Yang. However, this contact made Sun King completely numb. This was because the divine power of Yu Yang's attack was no longer the divine power of disaster. Instead, it was a kind of chaotic divine power that made even the heaven and earth turn gray. It was a kind of primal energy from the beginning. Sun King realized that his mind was in chaos, and his whole body was numb. In the sky, a huge golden snake demon image appeared, just like the invincible Conqueror Queen in the past. That golden snake demon image waved the weapon in her hand. An all-out attack. It slashed the body of Sun King, who was still in the posture of a sidekick. Blood splattered from Sun King's waist, and his whole body was almost cut in half by little Wen Li's golden image. He couldn't help but scream in pain. At the same time that little Wen Li's sneak attack was successful, there was also a huge golden image behind Sun King. It was as powerful as a god, and with one slap, it sent Yu Yang and little Wen Li flying. The moment Yu Yang fell to the ground, Sun King, who was still screaming just now, had actually caught up. His golden fist punched Yu Yang's chest for the third time, with the intention of punching through Yu Yang. "I'll send you on your way." At this time, Sun King's ferocious butcher face was full of murderous intent. In order to fight to the death with Yu Yang, he even used the last quasi-god golden body. Yu Yang didn't speak, but his eyes didn't have the fear that Sun King expected to see. Instead, there was a kind of chilling mockery. The moment he hit Yu Yang, Sun King suddenly felt a sense of horror. He hurriedly retracted his fist and retreated. But it was too late. A pillar of fire formed by nirvana flame soared into the sky, wrapping Sun King's whole body in it. With a rumble, it broke through the dome of the purple gold temple. Chapter 991. In front of the western city gate. The three-legged golden crow tribe's Black Orchid could no longer maintain her carefree demeanor. She returned to her original form, a golden crow with a wingspan of tens of meters, fighting against Princess Sisai and the others. In this battle, Princess Qian's estimation of her was very high, but it was still too low. She did not expect that Black Orchid alone would be able to fight against herself with her divine sword. IKA, who was in a berserk state, and hornless dragon Jiangying, who had completely fused with the dragon god's supreme divine power. If not for the strongest golden crown thorny flower queen duo supporting them, they would not dare to say that they could win. On the contrary, golden crow tribe Black Orchid was at a disadvantage. She had never thought that Titan Yu's two wives and guardian beast would actually be this strong. With her strength, she was actually suppressed by her opponent's storm-like attacks to the point that she couldn't even breathe. Her golden feathers were damaged. Her golden claws were burnt black. Black Orchid had never been beaten so badly by the enemy when she returned to her original form. The worst thing was that the opponent had not sent out all of their forces. There was still the strongest and a girl with unknown special abilities guarding the side. If the strongest Thorny Flower Queen attacked, she would be defeated in less than 10 moves. What should she do? Why was the Golden Toad, Queen Jean Meow, not here to support? Could it be that her opponent was even stronger? How many guardian beasts did Titan Yu actually have? Just here alone, there are already 3. He was obviously a human male from Tong Tian Tower. How could he be more outstanding than the geniuses and elites from Heaven Realm? Black Orchid became more and more afraid as she fought. She could not fight against the 3 girls. She retreated step by step. The battle above Purple Gold Divine Palace was earth-shattering. Black Orchid could faintly hear the Sun King's miserable howls, and not just once. The Sun King must also be in a tough battle, otherwise he would not last for so long. Black Orchid originally wanted to retreat to Purple Gold Divine Palace, but now she gave up on that idea, her heart filled with worry. Black Orchid, aren't you too useless? You can't even take down a few girls. Just as Black Orchid was retreating, a ray of light suddenly flew out from the depths of the palace. A tall, beautiful, and noble woman with horns on her forehead appeared behind Black Orchid. Behind this woman, 4 ugly iron-armed golden apes walked out with large strides, carrying a huge golden coffin on their shoulders. "Quick, come help." Black Orchid was usually the enemy, but she could not care about it now. "Qian," Black Orchid said. "Sister," Orchid laughed coldly, Orchid and Jiangying. Jiang, and little sister Qian, no, elder sister, quickly come and lend me a hand. My strength is almost depleted, and it is hard for me to maintain my body. When we return, little sister will definitely give way to elder sister and willingly become the 3rd concubine." Black Orchid flapped her wings with all her might, forcing IKA and Jiangying to fly away and retreat. As for Princess Qian, she had already retreated to the drunken cat Big Sis and Duo's side the moment the new enemy appeared, deeply on guard. Drunken Cat saw that Princess Sisai was very rational and didn't let her anger get to her head. She praised her in her heart, as expected of Tigress, who became braver and more shrewd the more she fought. Other than that Xuanyo, who else could compare to him? IKA wanted to continue to attack, but Princess Qian blocked her attack with her sword. Hornless dragon Jiang Ying also quickly returned after Princess Sisai made a defensive gesture. Seeing that the enemy was full of misgivings towards her, the noble and beautiful woman very proudly snorted. You were originally the third, if not for you, His Majesty. How could it be your turn to be the second concubine? Actually, if it wasn't for that bitch Jean Miao helping His Majesty when she was young, her position as Empress would have been mine. Black Orchid, you have to remember what you said today. Black Orchid lowered her head, her attitude respectful and submissive. Princess Sisai, with her 6 records inherent skill, keenly discovered that Black Orchid's eyes flashed with an unexpected light. Sister Qian, I am tired from fighting for a long time, and I am worried about His Majesty. I would like to ask Sister to take control of the situation and come to Purple Gold Divine Palace to take a look. I promise that I will definitely not compete with Sister for merits. Black Orchid pleaded humbly. You won't be able to compete with me. I have already obtained the golden coffin for His Majesty. With the God's bones and the divine grimoire, His Majesty will definitely be able to subdue the divine grimoire. What can you do for His Majesty? Don't cause trouble. Go to the side and recover from your injuries, lest you become a dirty cat with an ugly appearance and embarrass His Majesty. The noble and beautiful woman's neck was raised high like a proud swan. Yes, I will go to the garden to rest for a while. When my injuries have recovered, I will come back to pay my respects to Sister. Black Orchid flapped her wings hard and flew high, intending to leave. IKA still wanted to aim with the energy cannon. However, Princess Sisai secretly asked her to pay attention to the proud Qi Yin in front and let go of the extremely tenacious Black Orchid who had fought for a long time. Almost at the same time, Jiang Ying and Duo also reached out to dissuade IKA. Drunken Cat, who was in the center of everyone's protection, saw this, smiled slightly, and nodded secretly. Not to mention anything else, just the fact that they were working together while the other side was fighting openly and covertly was enough to determine who was stronger. If Black Orchid had stayed and teamed up with the proud Qi Yin, they might have been able to fight to a draw. However, not only did the other side not do so, they were like fire and water. Drunken Cat also felt that Black Orchid's departure had the faint intention of framing the other side. Black Orchid definitely knew the opponent's strength, but even she, who had used up all her secret powers and returned to her original form, could that Qi Yin be able to? Black Orchid did not say it clearly, but it was obvious that she wanted to frame her rival in love. Sometimes, a rival in love was even more terrifying than an enemy. Drunken Cat secretly thought that it was a close shave. Fortunately, none of her sisters were as easily jealous as Black Orchid and Qi Yin, or else they would be in trouble. Of course, that bad guy Yang also did a good job. He took care of everything and did not favor one over the other. Thus, everyone was able to maintain unity and fight side by side against external enemies. Growing up together, training together, and fighting together, the love and friendship born from this were especially strong and hard to be separated by external forces. Drunken Cat guessed that the Black Orchid and Qi Yin in front of her, as well as the Queen Jean Miao whom she had never seen before, must have known each other halfway. That was why they were so jealous and fighting for fame and fortune. Whoosh! With a few flaps of her wings, Black Orchid had already disappeared without a trace. She left behind that noble and beautiful woman called Qi Yin, who stood there arrogantly, coldly sweeping her gaze across Princess Sisai and the others as if they were a group of servants. Princess Sisai did not say anything. She stretched out her hand and the soul energy knot spread out, connecting with Jiang Ying, IK, Duo, and Drunken Cat. In an instant, she shared her 6 senses, thoughts, and plans with everyone. Jiang Ying and the others nodded, and at the same time, gave their opinions back to Princess Sisai. Ever since they cultivated together under the World Tree's Heaven Stairway with Yang and broke through the limits of the godly state, they had obtained different soul energy ribbons, which were also known as soul energy knots. As long as they were connected, their thoughts would be mutual, and there was no need for them to speak directly. Princess Qian had deliberately used this heart, not in order to keep it a secret and to better cooperate with each other, allowing them to have a tacit understanding. The arrogant Yin did not care. She only curled her lips and snorted disdainfully. Insignificant tricks. You don't even know how to use directional sound transmission, and you dare to show off in front of me? What a joke. Big idiot and second idiot, you two go and tear that weakest slut apart. Third idiot and fourth idiot, you two trample that flower to death. Even if plant-type beasts transform into humans, what kind of battle power do they have? Just because their faces have become beautiful, does that mean they will definitely be strong? IKA was furious. Golden Crown Thorny Flower Queen Duo laughed and shook her head. Of course, having a beautiful face has nothing to do with battle power. On the other hand, an ugly freak like you will easily make people vomit and affect other people's battle power. Slut, you're courting death. The arrogant Yin was so angry that her face twisted. Without waiting for the 4 steel-armed golden apes to come forward, she had already flown up. She held a ball of fire in each hand, intending to kill Duo in one move. Duo's laughter was like a bell. Not only did she not retreat, she charged forward. She leapt into the air, and when the opponent's ball of fire was about to hit her face, she waved her fists like a normal girl fighting, randomly punching out. When Yin saw her posture, she simply laughed her head off. She somersaulted. With her head down and her legs up, she executed a beautiful roundhouse kick, aiming straight for Duo's forehead. If this kick landed, even a heaven rank ruler would be killed on the spot. The smile on Duo's face became even wider. She turned a blind eye to the collision and explosion of the ball of fire. Yin's beautiful roundhouse kick was also completely ignored. She looked like a silly little girl who did not know what danger was. Just as Yin's foot hit Duo's head, Duo's body suddenly blossomed with countless flowers. Her beautiful posture was the best in the world, a kind of deterrence energy that was even more terrifying than that of a divine beast, a kind of terrifying energy that was even more powerful than the minor law energy that Yang usually used, burst out from her body. The entire world seemed to have become a fresh flower. No one could stop this fresh flower from blooming, just like no one could stop the laws of nature. The flower crown on Duo's head sank slightly, blocking Yin's kick. The two colliding and exploding balls of fire drowned the fresh flowers on Duo's body, like a clay ox entering the sea. There was not the slightest ripple. Yin's face was full of astonishment. She had never expected this. She wanted to turn around and retreat, but found that her calf had unknowingly been grabbed by the enemy's hand. With a burst of dizziness, Yin found that her body was falling rapidly. An irresistible force carried her and smashed her to the ground. Rumble! Yin felt as if all the bones in her body had been shattered. She did not even have the time to groan in pain. The moment her body bounced up from the ground, another foot stomped heavily on her back, almost breaking her spine. This time, Yin could no longer endure the pain and screamed. The scream had just started. Duo raised her sky-piercing blade and slashed across Yin's throat with incomparable elegance. Her neck split open and blood spurted out like a waterfall. Yin painfully covered the wound on her throat. She supported herself with one arm, anxiously trying to escape from danger. However, Duo, who was behind her, did not let her go so easily. She raised the sky-piercing blade high up and stabbed it heavily into Yin's back, directly piercing through her chest. The arrogant Yin howled in pain after receiving this heavy blow. Her body crazily transformed into a blood-red dragon amidst the bloody light. The sky-piercing blade pierced deeply into her back. Transforming into a dragon did not mean that the danger was over. The blood-red dragon frantically flapped its 2 wings, anxiously wanting to fly up like Black Orchid and escape from this place. It did not expect that in the sky, the hornless dragon Jiang had been waiting for a long time. Jiang first threw down a silver spiderweb, then condensed a slender water dragon. She shouted delicately, "Let's see if your dragon or my dragon is stronger." The water dragon covered the sky and swallowed down, directly knocking the already heavily injured blood-red dragon to the ground. On the ground, Ike raised the angel's blade. She slashed with all her might. The blood-red dragon's left wing was silently separated from its main body and flew out. Dragon blood splattered all over the ground. The blood-red dragon opened its mouth and spat out a ball of dragon breath. However, before it could leave its mouth, it was horrified to find that Ika's energy cannon had already shot out an energy beam, blasting the ball of dragon breath back into the blood-red dragon's throat. Rumble! An earth-shattering explosion occurred. The shockwave sent Drunken Cat, who was fighting 4 steel-armed gold apes, flying 100 meters away. The steel-armed gold apes also rolled on the ground, each of them in a sorry state. The blood-red dragon with a large hole in its head finally realized the strength of the enemy and Black Orchid's humble attitude. It turned out that these enemies were existences that could not be defeated. Black Orchid appeared to be retreating, but in reality, she was shifting the disaster. Chien, who had transformed into a blood-red dragon, struggled with all her might, wanting to fly up. However, one of her wings had been cut off, her head had been blasted black, and there were a few large holes in her body with blood gushing out. She struggled a few times, but still could not fly up. "Do you still have a pretty face now?" Duo floated down from the sky. Her small hands grabbed the dragon's tail and pulled Chi-Yan's huge body up. After swinging her back and forth dozens of times, she asked with a bell-like smile, "Look at me, who has a pretty face. Don't you think I'm just an empty shell? Spare me." The blood-red dragon vomited blood nonstop. At this moment, she thought of begging for mercy. It's already too late. Princess Sisai, who had condensed her strength for a long time, carried the power of the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise. With the ultimate support of her saint energy inherent skill, the prison emperor divine sword slashed down heavily. The sword was about to chop off Chi-Yan's head. At the same time, a person flew out of the purple gold divine palace. It was Yu Yang, who was covered in blood. He was punched out of the palace door by the Sun King. He fell on the golden steps with great momentum, rolling nonstop. The Sun King wasn't having a good time either. First, he was restrained by Little One Li's binding inherent skill for the second time. Then, he was sent flying by Aman's 5 elemental pillars' divine power. He fell 10 times further than Yu Yang. If it wasn't for the Sun King, if it was someone else, they would definitely explode and die on the spot after taking a punch from Aman. However, Red gritted her teeth and held on. She blocked the attack of the Sun King's quasi-god golden body with both hands, preventing it from helping the main body. Yu Yang and the Sun King both fell on the golden steps. Both of them fought until their eyes were red. They didn't care about their injuries, their surroundings, and other attacks. They were like madmen. Once their bodies regained their mobility, they immediately pounced on each other like raging bulls. They didn't defend themselves at all, and their fists rained down on each other's body. The Sun King's quasi-god golden body rushed down to help the main body. Of course, Yu Yang also had the help of Little One Li, Red, and Aman. The great battle continued. The chaotic battle was endless. Before one side fell, the battle would never stop. Chapter 992. Under the West Gate. Wulan snuck back to the battlefield and found that Chi-Yan's corpse had already become fertilizer. The other 4 iron-armed gold apes had suffered the same fate as her. Only the golden-crowned thorny flower Queen Duo was left. She had a sweet smile on her face, looking cute and harmless. No matter how you looked at her, she didn't look like a warrior who was about to start a massacre. Instead, she looked like a princess who was waiting for a warrior to save her. The battle at the Royal Garden Plaza rumbled like thunder. The terrifying shock waves were like the eruption of a tsunami. Before the first wave subsided, another wave arose. "If you like it, I'll gift this golden coffin to you, sister." Duo's words were filled with sugar. No matter what she said, it sounded very pleasant to the ears of others. It couldn't be helped. This little girl was a naturally likable person. "If I take this golden coffin, I'm afraid I'll have to live in it forever." Wulon of the three-legged gold crow tribe suddenly sighed. How could that be possible? Sister is very powerful. Duo smiled and shook her head. Her voice was like a bell, extremely pleasing to the ears. I am not that idiot, Chi Yen. I don't want to fight with you at all in this battle. Our three-legged gold crow tribe has no enmity with Tong Tian Tower. In fact, our ancestors had some relation with them. Whether Titan you leads you to power or not has nothing to do with us, and is not a threat to our gold crow tribe. If not for the Sun King, why would I fight? That year, for the sake of peace in the Valley of Tang, I replaced my sister and married the Sun King far away. I've never felt happiness for a single day, but I don't have the ability to resist fate, nor the possibility of struggling. Right now, I'm already tired. I don't want to struggle anymore. If Titan you wins in the end, I'll return to the Valley of Tang and live the life I want. Wulon muttered to herself with a hint of longing in her voice. Unfortunately, compared to Chi Yin fertilizer, I'm more interested in you. Duo placed the ancient golden coffin into her summoning grimoire. Without looking at Wulon again, she stepped on the blossoming flower and floated away. I hope I can regain my freedom. Wulon paid attention to the battle at the plaza, but didn't want to go near, afraid of being discovered by the Sun King, who was locked in a bitter battle. Purple Gold Divine Palace, plaza below the Golden Stairs. The Sun King was caught in a bitter struggle. In terms of level and strength, he was far superior to Yu Yang. However, the problem was that Yu Yang had too many unique skills, and his right-hand men came one after another. First, it was Man in Red, followed by the hornless dragon Jiang Ying and Ik. Finally, it was Duo who absorbed Chi Yin as fertilizer and scared off Black Orchid. The Sun King's only help right now was the golden body quasi-godhead, but with little one Li's golden snake demon battle statue blocking it, it was impossible to rescue the main body in time. At the back of the hall, Princess Sisai and Drunken Cat, who were gritting their teeth and dashing forward, had already met up with Yu, who was carrying the Reaper Mantis and the Spirit of Chaos. This was the place where Chi Yin moved the ancient golden coffin. Different from Chi Yin, who only cared about moving the coffin, they came here mainly to find the secrets of the Divine Grimoire, or the Purple Gold Shrine. Princess Sisai had a hunch that they had to find some key to defeat the powerful Sun King. The Sun King had the quasi-godhead and a strong recovery talent. It was not easy to kill him. They had to find the secret of the divine tune and kill him with the ancient law. Moreover, Princess Sisai felt that the key person might be Yu, not herself. Where is the secret? Quickly find it. Yu was so anxious that she was about to cry. She knew that the longer the battle dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for her brother. After all, the Sun King's strength and level were there. The longer the battle went, the more dangerous it would be. Oh my God, there's an even higher shrine behind. The Reaper Mantis flew out and was surprised to find that the Purple Gold Shrine was only the first shrine in the entire Divine Grimoire world. There was another one behind, and even more. This back of the hall was far from the end of the Divine Grimoire world. It was unimaginable how big the Divine Grimoire world was. There's another one? Then how can we find the secret of the Divine Grimoire? Princess Sisai was also anxious. She did not know what to do. Should she continue to move forward or stay in the back of the Purple Gold Shrine to search? Calm down, there must be a way. Drunken Cat desperately comforted others, but her own tears were streaming down. Yes, I need to calm down. I need to save Xiao. San, I must think of a way. I need to calm down. Yu suddenly muttered like a madwoman. Her eyes began to lose focus, and her mind was a mess. She fell into a state of chaos, as if she was repeating an endless loop of thoughts. Princess Sisai held her with trembling hands, trying to cheer her up, but found that her throat had become hoarse. 2 lines of hot tears rolled down, and she could no longer speak. Seeing the state of the 3 women, even the chaotic spirits, who were full of enthusiasm for energy and wanted to leave the team to absorb the space energy from time to time, also calmed down. She would not persuade them. She just quietly floated there, waiting quietly. Maybe the secret of the Divine Grimoire is in the ancient golden coffin. Sister Reaper Mantis was also anxious that she could not help, but she had a bright mind. The idea flashed in her mind, and she said it out loud. "I'll go back. You stay. Take care of Sister You first. Pay attention. Don't let her be in any danger." Princess Sisai saw that the shrine in front of her was too tall and too big. If she went to explore it again, she was afraid that there was not enough time. She hurriedly went back to the ancient golden coffin to see if there were any secrets in it. Previously in the Tower of Babel, Yu Yang had taken everyone to the periphery of the divine grimoire. Qilin Girl Bing Yin had once moved a similar ancient golden coffin for Yu Yang. The secrets stored in it had not been fully excavated until now. Perhaps the secret of the purple gold shrine was really in the ancient golden coffin. "Mistress, I just thought of it. It may not be correct." Sister Reaper Mantis saw that Princess Sisai took it seriously and was anxious. "I don't have a premonition like you. I just thought of it casually. What if it's wrong? Don't go back. Think of another way. There's not enough time. No matter what the possibility is, I have to fight." Princess Sisai kept the prison emperor divine sword, wiped her tears, and ran back. "Don't be impulsive, Qian Qian." Drunken Cat was afraid that she would be in danger and quickly chased after her. "Now, what should we do now?" Sister Reaper Mantis looked at the spirit of chaos. The spirit of chaos had no opinion at all. With her intelligence, she did not know how to think about these problems. She just waited there quietly and waited for other people's decision according to Yu Yang's instructions. "I want to save Xiao San. I want to save Xiao San." Yu fell into a state of confusion. Because of the shock she saw in the back hall, her spirit almost collapsed. "What should I do? I can't do it alone. I can't make a decision. I also want to save Master, but I don't know what to do. Mistress Rain, please wake up. I'm only good at fighting. I don't have the ability to make that kind of decision that can change fate." The secret might be in the Divine Palace in front, or in the ancient golden coffin, or in the purple gold palace. "Sister, you said that there's a summoning grimoire up there. It looks like a holy grimoire, but it also looks like a godly grimoire. Maybe the real secret is in there. Maybe there's a lot of strange energy here, and even the twisted power of the ancient code and a strange energy field. Oh my God, my head is going to explode. Where is the secret of the purple gold palace? There are so many spaces around us, and they all have golden barriers. It's a world of its own inside. Where is the secret hidden? Mistress Rain, I beg you, please wake up quickly." Sister Reaper Mantis was getting more and more nervous. The pressure in her heart was too great, and she cried out loud. She hugged Yu and cried harder and harder, her tears splashing everywhere. Because of her crying, Yu's eyes gradually regained their spirit. As if the crying had awakened her from her muddled state, Yu's body glowed with a holy light. In this life and death situation, she broke out from the muddled state of endless loop of thoughts and successfully gave birth to a new consciousness. At the same time, her clear and calm mind was instantly restored. Yu closed her eyes gently, and tears fell down uncontrollably. Because of the golden light shining on her body, it looked like sparkling golden beans were falling from her body. When she opened her eyes again, a kind of light of wisdom shone in her eyes like a divine light. The brilliance of the light made Reaper Mantis' sister dumbfounded. Breakthrough, leveling up, the light of wisdom shining. I understand now. A smile appeared on Yu's lips. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Then, she turned around and flew back quickly. Reaper Mantis' sister hurriedly chased after her with the chaotic spirits, guarding her left and right. While suppressing her surprise, she asked anxiously, "Mistress Rain, what did you understand? What do you want us to do?" "I can't explain it right now. Let's go back first." Yu opened her semi-god silk umbrella, and her speed increased by 10 times. She floated in the air like a fairy. Below the west gate, Princess Sisai and Drunken Cat had already rushed back, but they found that the ancient coffin was gone. "Where's the golden ancient coffin?" Princess Sisai's vision darkened. There was no time to clean it up just now. Could it be that Wulan who ran away had stolen it? If it was true, it would be terrible. Maybe Duo took it away. Calm down. Duo wouldn't leave such an important thing behind. Drunken Cat quickly comforted her. Then let's go and find her. Princess Sisai took out the prison emperor divine sword and flew forward to meet up with Duo. At this time, the battle at the Purple Gold Plaza had reached its climax. The Sun King had used his ultimate skill, Sun Explosion, on Yu Yang. The energy that engulfed the heaven and earth could completely annihilate all living beings on the battlefield. The Sun King risked his life to kill Yu Yang, even if he was severely injured. As for Yu Yang, other than the Nirvana Flame, Eternal Wheel, and innate invisible sword chi, he still had his ultimate skill. That was the Golden Giant's ancient code that was born from the enlightenment of the Card of Fate. This was the only power that Yu Yang couldn't control. However, as long as Yu Yang's life was in danger, it would usually be activated. The Golden Giant's feet, body, and head were nowhere to be seen. Perhaps it represented the power of the law of fate, a power that had never been defeated and only made its enemies feel inferior and insignificant. When it appeared, all beings bowed their heads. From the Black Tide at the beginning to the Empress of Heaven and now the Sun King, there was no exception. When Yu Yang was hit by the Sun Explosion's divine flame, his body immediately gave birth to a golden giant. In front of it, any power would fall into stillness. The soaring Yu, the sprinting Princess Sisai, all floated in the air. Time also stopped. When it was born, there was only this kind of irresistible ancient code of fate in the world. In an instant, Yu, who had returned from the east, and Princess Qian, who had rushed over from the west, resumed their movements. However, they were extremely slow, as if there were thousands of heavy burdens on their shoulders. In fact, they did not feel heavy pressure, but they were unable to move smoothly. The Sun King screamed as he was stepped on by the Golden Giant. At this moment, his quasi-divine godhead golden body couldn't even resist for a second and was completely shattered. The sun clock stepped on the ground. The golden hands of the hour and second twisted, and parts of unknown origin splattered on the ground. Black Orchid, who was far away on the city tower, was suffocated. From her angle, she could only see a giant foot that was as tall as a mountain, piercing through the clouds. She didn't know how tall it was, but it was at least a few thousand meters. Such a huge golden giant couldn't see its body or face at all, and its true appearance was unknown. On the contrary, Little Wen Li's golden snake demon statue, which was almost shattered by the Sun King's quasi-divine godhead, instantly recovered. Jiang Ying and Red, who were exhausted from the battle, also felt full of energy. Ika screamed, and the angel's blade spiraled. A man shouted, and the divine power of the 5 elemental pillars erupted. Countless flowers bloomed on Duodua's body. Yu Yang's heart that had stopped beating for a long time started beating again. Thump, thump, thump. It became the only vibration in the entire battlefield. The golden giant disappeared in a flash. The moment Yu Yang's heart started beating again, he immediately fainted and fell to the ground. The golden giant that exploded also disappeared because of Yu Yang's consciousness, as if it had never appeared. Only the giant footprint on the ground silently showed its invincible power. You who possess the strongest power of the law, you are completely the favored child of fate, Titan you. Even like this, you still can't defeat me, the Sun King. The bones in Sun King's body were broken, and blood flowed out from his 7 orifices. His face was hideous, and his blood stained the ground. His guardian beast, the sun clock, exploded with a bang, and its parts flew everywhere as it died. After being killed by the golden giant, even if it was reborn in the future, it would probably drop in level and its power would be greatly reduced. Kill. Princess Sisai saw that the Sun King was on the verge of death and immediately raised the prison emperor divine sword. No. Yu kept her beautiful silk umbrella and flew over like an arrow. She carried Yu Yang, who was lying on the ground, and shouted, "Don't care about him. We just need to save Xiao San. Sun King, he has his own destiny." "What did you say?" Princess Sisai heard Yu Yu's words and seemed to understand. Her eyes lit up. She immediately threw down the prison emperor divine sword and rushed over. Using her chest as a cushion, she supported Yu Yang's head so that Yu could save him. Little Wen Li, who was covered in blood, also rushed over to help with the help of the Yao Yu sisters. Duo and Jiang Ying also had some healing abilities. As for Man in Red, they were in charge of guarding the surroundings. Reaper Mantis' sister and Chaotic Spirit had just returned. Everyone was working hard to save Yu Yang. No one cared about the Sun King, who was laughing crazily and climbing the gold stairs with all his might towards the purple gold shrine. The Sun King was laughing crazily until tears of blood flowed down. I won. Titan Yu, I won in the end. I won against you. The divine grimoire belongs to me. Tong Tian Tower, Central Shrine, everything belongs to me. From today onwards, no one will dare to look down on me. No matter if it's you, the new prison emperor of Tong Tian Tower, or the Central Shrine's favored one, Ji Wuri, none of you can win against me. I am a victor. The divine grimoire belongs to me. The divine grimoire, after an unknown period of time, the Sun King, who was dragging a bloody path, climbed all the gold stairs and entered the purple gold shrine. With his blood-stained hands, he made a contract with the giant summoning grimoire. His face was filled with fanaticism and satisfaction. A kind of unsuppressible joy after winning twisted his face. At the same time, it also twisted his mind and mind. It's mine, you belong to me. Divine grimoire, I have you. I am a god. I will be a god in the future. I will be a god in the future. When the Sun King placed his bloody hands on the giant summoning grimoire, a golden light flashed. At the bottom of the purple gold plaza, Yu and Princess Sisai looked up and saw a golden light flashing, followed by a loud explosion. Boom! Some broken bones, flesh, and blood flew out of the shrine. The golden light disappeared, and everything returned to nothingness. A summoning grimoire was blown out of the shrine and fell on the gold stairs, quickly dimming. It was the Sun King's own grimoire. Inside the purple gold shrine, the gorgeous summoning grimoire that looked like a holy grimoire and a godly grimoire sat quietly on the table, as if no one had touched it since ancient times. Chapter 993. Wu Lan, who was hiding and watching the battle from afar, immediately burst into tears when she saw this scene. There was a sense of relief on her face. Without wasting another second, she transformed back into her original golden crow form, spread her wings, and flew away at the fastest speed in her life. Princess Isai and the others actually knew of Wu Lan's existence, but at this time they only cared about Yu Yang and couldn't be bothered to care about an enemy like Wu Lan who had no desire to fight. The Sun King was dead, and their greatest threat had fallen. That was better than anything else. For people like Wu Lan, who was not their enemy's opponent and was also the descendant of the Easter Goblin tribe, or even the three-legged Golden Crow tribe who had been on good terms with Yu Yang before, if there was no need to kill them, Princess Sisai really wouldn't want to make an enemy out of the Valley of Tang. After all, their greatest enemy was the Central Shrine. Drunken Cat grabbed Yu Yu's little hand excitedly and asked repeatedly, how did you know that the Sun King would die under the grimoire? Whether he could contract the grimoire. No one dared to say, and no one could say for sure. The grimoire had a spirit and chose its own master. Even a confident and gifted child like Yu Yang didn't have the confidence to contract a grimoire. But not being able to contract a grimoire didn't mean that one would definitely die or explode. The grimoire wasn't evil. It didn't recognize its master and just ignore it. It didn't mean that it would kill the person who contracted it. However, everyone witnessed the Sun King's death when he tried to contract a grimoire. How did you know that he couldn't contract a grimoire? For a moment, everyone's hearts were in suspense, and they all looked at her curiously. That's not a grimoire. Yu found that her brother's heartbeat was strong, and his injuries were slowly recovering with everyone's energy. Even though he couldn't wake up immediately, his condition had improved, and she was relieved. She gestured for everyone to sit down. She also sat on the ground tiredly and half-hugged Yu Yang's body, letting him rest on her thighs. She took a sip of the fairy spring water that Jiang Ying passed to her and explained to everyone, Feather had told us that there was a book in the purple gold divine palace that looked like a holy grimoire and also a divine grimoire. At first, I didn't pay much attention to it. However, when my mind was in a mess, I suddenly realized that the book on top was definitely not a divine grimoire. After I realized this, I have to thank Future for waking me up. Or else, I don't know how long I would be confused. No, it has nothing to do with me. I didn't help at all. The Reaper Mantis sister blushed and waved her hand. She was most afraid of being praised. Not the grimoire. The drunken cat, Big Sis, frowned. Could it be a grimoire? Princess Sisai still didn't understand. How did you know that the grimoire was not a grimoire? She didn't even go up to take a look, so how did she know? No, it's definitely not a grimoire. Yu waved her hands and smiled. Actually, everyone's thinking is too complicated. Let's think about it. When we first contracted a grimoire, what did our teachers or elders teach us? Everyone's grimoire is unique, and one person can't have two grimoires. If someone wants to contract a grimoire endlessly and covets the quantity, they will suffer the backlash from the grimoire's protective power. Even if the backlash from the grimoire's protective power, it would only cause a headache or a drop in power, but not an explosion. Drunken Cat felt that this was too serious. That's why I said that the grimoire that caused the Sun King to explode was not a grimoire, nor a grimoire, or even a grimoire. It should be a pseudo-grimoire. Yu smiled and revealed the truth. What is a pseudo-grimoire? Red and Jiang did not know much about grimoires and were surprised. A pseudo-grimoire is not a grimoire, or rather, it is no longer a grimoire. A pseudo-grimoire, how do I put it? In Tong Tian Tower or Heaven Realm, there are some talented geniuses who, because of their environment or fate, gradually deteriorated and finally became warriors who had fallen to the extreme. Because these people did all kinds of evil, their nature had fallen to the extreme. Their actions went against the most primitive laws of the grimoire, and there were even serious conflicts. In other words, the grimoire no longer recognized this person. However, the grimoire was not a person. It would not say things like, "I'm leaving, you're on your own." However, the grimoire's protective power would indeed remove the polluted grimoire. Under the situation where it could not get rid of its owner, it completely gave up on its polluted body. The grimoire did not disappear, but some of the ancient code's power disappeared, leaving only the polluted parts. On the surface, it still looks like a grimoire, but is already a fallen grimoire that is completely different from a normal grimoire. Are there still innate abilities in guardian beasts? Jiang asked curiously. The original grimoire itself did not disappear, but some kind of mutation occurred. Guardian beasts and innate abilities, as well as all kinds of ancient code's power to promote the owner, some protective powers would gradually disappear, leaving only an empty shell of the grimoire. Of course, that kind of fallen grimoire still has some primitive functions. For example, some contracted beasts, if they did not defect, would also be polluted. They could also live in the grimoire. Some of the abilities obtained from the grimoire might not disappear, but they would be distorted and mutated. In short, the real grimoire had actually disappeared. That empty shell of a grimoire gradually became a pseudo-grimoire that was not recognized by the ancient code. Yu's understanding of the pseudo-grimoire was partly from listening to her teacher, partly from seeing Yang, and partly from what she had seen and heard when she was with Yu Yang. Why would there be a pseudo-grimoire in the Purple Gold Palace? Sister Yu, how did you know that it was a pseudo-grimoire? This was the last question that Princess Sisai could not figure out. The reason is very simple. Yu glanced at Yu Yang, who was sleeping quietly. Seeing that his face was gradually recovering, and that his sternum, which was broken by the Sun King, was also being healed by the energy, she let out a long sigh of relief. After her consciousness returned, Yu calmed down and saw that Princess Sisai's face was full of confusion. She couldn't help but feel a little amused. You can also think of it, but you're too worried about this battle now, so you have neglected some details. Because Wuxia is not here, you have to shoulder the worry on your shoulders and become the one who suffers the most. In fact, there are many details that have already shown abnormalities. I was also too worried and did not discover it in time. In fact, The purple gold palace in front of us is not the real purple gold palace at all. This is actually only the periphery of the grimoire. We have not really entered the grimoire yet. What? Drunken Cat was stunned. So that's how it is. Oh my God, I understand now. Princess Sisai was so smart that she completely understood after hearing what you said. Isn't this the grimoire? We clearly walked in from the outside. Red didn't understand. Previously, Yu Yang killed the new water temple master Azure Dragon outside the divine temple and led everyone into the grimoire. The two laws inside and outside were different. Why wasn't this inside the grimoire? Before, outside, no one could summon the grimoire, and no one could use their inherent ability. The war beasts must also be brought in from the outside. Inside, anyone could summon the grimoire at will. It was obviously different. Princess Sisai now understood and clapped her hands happily. I'm confused. In fact, a long time ago, we have seen what the real grimoire shield is. Remember when the Black Hell Emperor desperately knocked on the grimoire golden shield? If you're not recognized by the grimoire, it is very difficult to enter the grimoire space. At that time, we could not enter no matter how hard we tried. Yu Yang used Sword Chi, but he could only teleport little when inside. Later, he even thought a method to use Lu Ye's perforate deer and teleport. Other than Bingyin, I don't think anyone else can enter the grimoire so easily. This is indeed the grimoire space, but it is only the outer space, just like the outer space of the grimoire space that we entered before. It's just that there are different laws and restrictions here. We actually did not enter the real core. Yu nodded, indicating that this was the truth. Drunken Cat also suddenly understood. No wonder I was wondering why this grimoire space was so easy to enter. I thought every grimoire's laws were different. That is to say, the real grimoire, the real purple gold temple, is still inside. Jiangying happily hugged Red and IKA. I don't know why. Maybe it was the intention of the ancient gods. There's a lot of outer space here, which is very confusing. Moreover, in order to test people's hearts, there are also many traps. We should have thought of this long ago. No matter how easy it is, the ancient gods would not leave the grimoire on the table for future generations to inherit. No matter what, there must be a test. I also remembered something. Fourth Mother once advised Xiao Xin not to easily try to contract the grimoire. She must have known that it is not so easy to inherit. Think about it. In order to obtain the grimoire, Ji Wuri did not hesitate to put in all his effort and risk his life to enter the trial grounds. He has been breaking through for tens of thousands of years, but he still has not obtained the grimoire he wants. Now, is it really so easy for the Sun King to obtain the real grimoire here without much effort? Ji Wuri is definitely not a fool. If the grimoire here is so easy to obtain, why would he go to the trial grounds to take the risk? The dangers there could endanger his life at any time. After hearing what you said, everyone completely understood that the grimoire was indeed not so easy to obtain. If it was placed here for people to contract, how could it be the Sun King's turn today? All right, now that we've figured out the truth and defeated the Sun King, let's go back and rest. When this big bad guy wakes up, we'll explore the real divine grimoire. Princess Qian relaxed, feeling very tired. This proposal was unanimously agreed by everyone. In order to fight the Sun King, he was indeed exhausted. Now the Sun King was dead. Although he did not know whether his body exploded because of the pseudo-grimoire or because his body was so heavily injured that he could not bear the contract, it was no longer important. In fact, even if he did not contract the pseudo-grimoire, he would definitely not be able to survive. In the end, the Sun King had completely gone crazy. Fate had eliminated him. This self-abased and arrogant man died because of his wrong pursuit. Of course, a person like him could still be considered as a dazzling brilliance in his life. He was able to work hard from the bottom and struggle to reach the position of the Sun King in the Sun God Palace of the Central Shrine. He was already very amazing. In the Heaven Realm, there were not many people like him. However, he was unwilling to accept his fate and challenge something that he could not bear in his life. In the end, he was eliminated miserably. If he hadn't insisted on killing Yu Yong and had obediently continued to be the Sun King, he wouldn't have fallen today. Unwillingness and self-improvement brought him from the bottom to the peak. However, it also brought him away from the peak of his life and fell into an abyss from which he could not recover. The Sun King could stand at the peak, but it was destined that he could not leave the peak and soar to a higher sky. If he insisted on doing so, the result would be like this, falling to pieces. Mistress, there are 2 little mice outside. Red reminded Princess Sisai that the clown and the Pearl Beauty were still outside. That's nothing to be afraid of. Why don't you go and take a look? Princess Sisai was not interested in these things. In the Tianhua region, who betrayed who framed who sacrificed for who took revenge for who, everything had a cause and effect. No one was completely right, and no one was completely wrong. It was not that outsiders did not want to help. It was their own stubbornness that caused this tragedy. Princess Sisai's attitude was that whoever wanted to care, she would not interfere. In Tong Tian Tower, the warriors of the soaring dragon continent and the demon abyss fought until blood flowed like a river, but they could all join forces and resolve their grievances. Why couldn't the Tianhua region do the same? In fact, in the Tianhua region, those who fought and killed each other were actually a family. They all had some kind of kinship. How could others care if they fought among themselves? Oh man, let's go. Seeing that Princess Sisai was not going to care, Red decided to go out and take a look. She hoped to help Yu Yang take over the Tianhua region. Even if this place was not very useful, it was at least a territory. Okay, a man was always the most obedient, a person of action. I will go too, duo. I will bring back a lot of fertilizer for you. The Reaper Mantis' sister flew over, chasing after Red and Aman. She always hoped that she could fight more, learn more, and improve more. Only then could she help her master fight the bad guys, right? I wonder how Anan and Bing Air are doing. Yu carried Yu Yang and returned to the Grimoire world under the guidance of Little Wen Li and the others. I'm not worried about them, but Sky Execution and the others who are fighting against the Double-Faced King are a little dangerous. But there is Hui Tai Lang. Forget it, there will always be difficulties. There are opportunities and risks. If they can fight against the Double-Faced King, they will definitely improve greatly. Let's not think about it. I am so tired. Let's sleep. Xianu help me massage my shoulders. Princess Sisai was so tired that she fell asleep immediately. Jiang Ying and Duo also went to rest. In the end, only Yu, who was carrying Yu Yang, was left. Yu was also tired, but there was no other way. She could not bear to just leave him like this. She could only sigh and carry him to the bath. If she did not wash the dirty and blood-covered Yu Yang clean, she would not be able to sleep no matter how tired she was. Who asked her to owe him in her previous life? Luckily, everyone was resting, or else it would be really awkward. Chapter 994. On the steps outside, Ming Rihao was still sitting there. The fatal blow from the Sun King had severely injured his body. If it wasn't for the fact that his strength was strong enough and his vitality was as tough as a cockroach, he would have already fallen to the ground and died. The clown and the pearl-glowing beauty suddenly appeared. Seeing Ming Rihao's appearance, the clown's eyes flashed. The pearl-glowing beauty didn't have any change. She even smiled, as if she was gloating. Look at you. Aya, so many years have passed, and you're still the same. If you don't act tough one day, will you die? The pearl-glowing beauty clicked her tongue. She went through the golden barrier and walked towards Ming Rihao. She circled around him twice and suddenly burst into laughter. My beloved Lord Marshal, you are known as the most powerful man in the Ming family. You abhor evil and will not tolerate even the slightest bit of betrayal. Have you not come to Green Willow City to capture me? Why aren't you doing anything? Aya, I missed my chance. But no matter, I still have a chance. Come, capture me and hang me on the Moonlight Plaza to be judged. A traitor like me should at least be sentenced to death. Ming Rihao was dead silent. I'm right in front of you. Why aren't you doing anything? Let me see. Aya, you're already heavily injured. Who is it? Who beat the strongest man in the Ming clan into a coward? who beat the bravest man in the world into a coward. The pearl-glowing beauty sneered. Ming Rihouse still didn't say anything. Don't you hate me a lot? That's right, I betrayed you. No, I betrayed the entire Ming clan. I even betrayed the Ming clan's supreme saintess, Ming Yuguang. Aren't you a good brother who protects your sister the most? Why are you silent when you see a traitor like me? Ha ha, I've waited for thousands of years. I thought I would meet a vengeful demon. I didn't expect to meet a coward. What caused you to become like this? Let me guess, it must be the prison emperor. It must be the prison emperor who scared you out of your wits and turned you into a coward. The pearl-glowing beauty continued to mock him. She was simply asking for trouble. Pearl-glowing. The clown seemed to dislike the pearl-glowing beauty getting too close to Ming Rihao and shouted, "Go grab your divine grimoire. Don't worry about me." The pearly beauty was inexplicably angry. She turned around and glared at the clown. "Don't worry about me. You'd better disappear and care about the god's blood, the god's body, and the holy canon that you've been dreaming of. I do like those things, but you know who I'm doing this for." The clown's eyes were also filled with anger. He was no longer calm. "What good excuse? Do you think I'll believe it?" The pearl beauty sneered. "You." The clown was seething with anger. He rushed over, raised his right hand, and wanted to slap the pearl beauty. The pearl-like beauty was not afraid of the clown at all. Not only did she not lie down, she even moved her charming little face closer to the clown, gesturing for the clown to hit her. "Hit me. Hit me. I know you have wanted to hit me for a long time. Anyway, I am not your opponent. There is no need for you to pretend. Just slap me directly." The clown raised his hand, waved it, and several times tried to strike. In the end, he put his hand down. With a gentle voice that no one had ever heard before, he said gently, "Pearlite, you should understand me. I could be the enemy of everyone in the world, but I will not touch a single hair on your head. Whether it is Ji Feng or Ming Ri Wu, these guys are just tools. You and I are both smart people. You should know what is the most suitable. You said I'm doing it for the god's blood and the divine grimoire. I want to say that these things are not suitable for us. Pearlite, if you are willing to come with me, I can put down the divine grimoire and give up everything in the world." The pearl-like beauty laughed. "Good. So you are so free and easy. Then what are you waiting for? Let's go. Wait for me outside. I will take the divine grimoire and immediately go find you. How about this?" The clown's body shook. The expression in his eyes changed a few times and said with a bit of bitterness, "Pearlite, in the end, you still don't believe me." The pearl-like beauty shook her head. Her expression was full of disdain. "Believe you? You don't even believe yourself. Your left hand doesn't believe your right hand. And you want me to believe you? What if I can really give up the divine grimoire?" The clown clenched his teeth and forced out this sentence. "Then you have no value to be used, scram." The pearl-like beauty coldly replied. "You." No matter how good the clown's temper was, he couldn't help but explode. He was so angry that his chest heaved up and down, his fists clenched tightly, and the three-colored ball was crushed by him. His eyes were so red that it seemed as if blood was about to drip out. "Clown, please don't treat me as a retard, okay? Don't bully yourself anymore. Who do you think you are? The world's most trashy scum, the most deranged dog, sh*t. Compared to you, they are like saints. Did you forget? How did you come from? It was through constant betrayal. You betrayed your hometown, betrayed Tong Tian Tower and that heroic prison emperor, and then you betrayed your master black prison. If you want to talk about your history of betrayal, there are too many. Do you still remember the fire in Ginkgo Valley? Who was the one who pointed the way? Ha ha ha. I think Green Wolf and the others, even until their deaths, they wouldn't know that everything was done by you. Who killed Ginkgo Queen? Was it Green Wolf, Lu Luo, and Wan Jiao? How could they have thought that it was you, the one who purposely made them roast in the fire and then pretended to take revenge? You were chased by the warriors of Tong Tian Tower, who stayed in the Heaven Realm and escaped to the Ginkgo Valley. It was the kind queen of Ginkgo who took you in and cured your dying injuries, but you raped her in return. The pearl-like beauty pointed at the clown and mercilessly ridiculed him. You, the one who made me feel disgusted, pretended to repent and knelt in front of Ginkgo Queen to beg for forgiveness. When the kind Ginkgo Queen forgave you, you became a beast again and raped her again, enjoying her pain and humiliation. You pretended to repent countless times and repaid kindness with enmity. Ginkgo Queen forgave you so many times, but you enjoyed the pleasure of scheming against her from the bottom of your heart. Clown, you are such a disgusting person. Until Ginkgo Queen got pregnant. In order to eliminate the people of Ginkgo Valley who hate you, you purposely lured Green Wolf and the others and poisoned their food with the sheep demon poison, making them the scapegoat to cover up your sins. The clown's whole body trembled. He pointed at the pearl-like beauty with a trembling finger. You, what do you know all these? Laughing, the pearl-like beauty's face instantly darkened. She stared at the clown. I saw it with my own eyes. That year, I saw you stab Ginkgo Queen's stomach, killing her and her child who had reached out to you for help. Clown, you want to say that you were sincere, right? Ask yourself if you believe it or not. The clown collapsed on the ground, covering his face with his hands. For a long time, he did not say anything. Only when the pearl-like beauty was about to leave did he stretch out a hand towards her. I am sincere to you. Believe me, I love you. If I am not sincere to you, why would I share everything with you? I have done many things to play with women in the past, but pearl-like beauty, I am sincere to you. I admit that this is crazy, this is unbelievable, but I love you more than G-foam. The pearl-like beauty smiled. She slowly walked towards the clown and stretched out her hand. You, who love me so much, hurry up and hug me. I can't wait for your kiss. The clown jumped in fright, as if a poisonous snake had bitten his butt. His whole body bounced up, facing the pearl-like beauty's hand. He took a few steps back in fright. Ha, this is how you show me you love me? The pearl-like beauty laughed loudly. I do love you, but you will steal my ability. If you don't use that ability, The clown tried his best to defend himself, but before he could finish his words, the pearl beauty slapped him across the face. Just as he was about to react, another resounding slap landed on his face. Don't say that you love me anymore. It makes me feel disgusted. The pearl-like beauty spat mercilessly, her eyes filled with disdain. The clown's whole body was trembling. Scram! This was the pearl-like beauty's reply. You are too heartless. I have done so many things for you, and you treat me like this? Back then, who helped you? The entire Ming group wanted to kill you, and only I helped you. If it wasn't for me, would you still be alive today? The clown roared crazily. Thank you. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have seen the Central Shrine attack my hometown and kill all my brothers and sisters. Although I don't like those people at all, if you don't show it, I will praise you for your enthusiasm. You helped me, didn't you use me? Between us, there is only mutual use. There is no more relationship. You said you love me. Fine, I feel disgusted from the bottom of my heart. The pearl-like beauty's voice was colder than ice. The clown couldn't help but slap the pearl-like beauty away. With his strength, he was far stronger than the pearl-like beauty. This slap was full of hatred. The pearl-like beauty's face was swollen, and her lips were bleeding. The clown seemed to be very regretful, but he didn't dare to approach the pearl-like beauty. He only apologized guiltily. Sorry, pearl-like beauty, I didn't mean it. I was too angry. I was wrong. Don't be angry. Let's go. I don't want the divine grimoire anymore. As long as you are willing to go with me, I don't care about anything else. The pearl-like beauty wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and laughed. If I was only 3 years old, you would have successfully convinced me. Unfortunately, I am the pearl-like beauty who even doubts myself, not a 3-year-old child. Don't ever think of deceiving me. In this world, there is no one who could deceive me. If you think you can coax me with some tricks and sweet words, I am sorry. I am not the kind of person you think I am. The clown roared. You have to go even if you don't want to. Pearl-like beauty, you have to go with me. The pearl-like beauty combed the messy hair in front of her forehead. Her movements were very elegant, and she asked lightly, What if I say no? The clown's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Then I will kill you. Not only will I kill you, but I will also kill your elder sister, the Queen of Freedom, and your beloved man, Ming Ri Wu. Look at him. He's just like a dead dog. I can kill him anytime. If you're willing to go with me, I might spare his life." The pearl-like beauty laughed loudly. She laughed so hard that even her tears flowed out. After a long time, she finally stopped laughing with great difficulty. She pointed at her chest. "Do you want me to give you an even more vicious suggestion? Why don't you rape me in front of Ming Ri Wu? Just like how you raped Queen Ginkgo in the past. Come, I promise not to resist. I promise not to use the divine solution that Queen Ginkgo gave me. Back then, she believed that you would change, so she didn't use the divine solution to kill you. Today, I will give you a chance." The clown swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He seemed to be very tempted, but in the end, he still shook his head. The pearl-like beauty revealed a strange smile. Why would a scum with animal instincts turn into a gentleman who doesn't like women? Let me guess, when you killed Queen Ginkgo in the past, you were punished by the divine solution? You became a eunuch? No. Queen Ginkgo is such a benevolent person, she wouldn't do that. Even if you killed her and her child, she still prayed that you would change one day. Ha ha ha, clown. Do you know why you became an inhumane trash? It was because of me. I used Queen Ginkgo's divine solution to curse you. I'm very sorry. I didn't tell you this secret until today. How is it, clown? Are you very angry? Do you want to kill me immediately? All right. You who love me very much, you can do it now. After the clown heard this, his silver mask fell to the ground uncontrollably. His expression was even uglier than death. His entire face was distorted beyond recognition. There was anger, resentment, fear, bewilderment, madness, and depression. He raised his hand and slapped the pearl-like beauty 100 meters away. He suppressed his voice and used the most terrifying voice to curse with incomparable resentment. "Whore, I'm going to throw you into a herd of beasts. Let every kind of beast in heat ravage your lowly skin and flesh. Finally, I'm going to peel off your skin and use 3,600 knives to cut your flesh into cubes for dinner. If I cut less than one knife, then I'm not a clown. Ha 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 ha, this is your love? Not bad. I kind of feel your love." The pearl-like beauty viciously mocked. "Look, you've shown your true colors. Clown, this is you. Whore, I love you so much, but you've destroyed me." The clown crazily roared. "The king of Still Wind Kingdom can die for me, but you can cut me 3,600 knives because of my words. Is this love? In the end, you only believe in yourself. You've never believed in anyone." The pearl-like beauty could still laugh. She wiped away the blood stains on her face, once again tidied up her appearance. She took out a small mirror to look at herself, adding some powder to her swollen face. Finally, she put away her makeup box and hooked her finger at the clown. "Come, Shao Chung. What are you waiting for? Come and kill me. You think I don't dare?" The clown quickly rushed in front of the pearl-like beauty, his blood-red eyes filled with murderous intent. The pearl-like beauty fearlessly looked back at him. The clown suddenly lowered his eyes, and his voice became gentle again. "Pearl-like beauty, I really love you. Let's go as long as you're willing to go with me. I don't mind what you've done to me. I love you more than G-Phone. Really, I swear, I'll only be good to you in the future. You can test me. When you feel that I've truly repented, then you can help me break the curse. I won't kill you. I love you more than anyone else in the world. Yes, after I'm touched, I'll help you break the curse. Then you'll tell me what lies." The pearl-like beauty smiled very sweetly. "Clown, you're a smart person, but don't treat me like a fool, okay? This kind of lie, I knew how to tell when I was 4 years old. Smelly whore, you're simply looking for death." The clown raised his head, his blood-red eyes filled with murderous intent. He took a few steps back and pulled out a long, curved, silver, oddly shaped blade. He pointed the sharp blade at the pearl beauty. "I'll count to 3. If you don't help me break the curse, I'll peel off your dirty skin. Don't think that just because you have the power of the divine solution, you can resist me. If I want to kill you, it'll be easier than killing an ant. Then what are you waiting for? Count to 3. The pearl-like beauty spat out a mouthful of saliva. "I'll help you count 1, Bitch. The clown waved his blade and chopped down on the pearl-like beauty's arm. He could kill her with one slash. But he didn't want to kill this woman so quickly. Before killing her, he wanted to torture her as much as he wanted, let her suffer all kinds of humiliation and pain, and most importantly, force her to break the curse. Her strength was far weaker than him. There was no way she could resist. Now, he would first chop off one of her arms, then torture her while forcing her to break the curse. After chopping off her limbs, he could still skin her. After skinning, he could still cut off her flesh. After cutting off her flesh, he could still scrape off her bones. The torture methods were endless. She wanted to die? Not so easy if he didn't break the curse. Then he would let her live in pain and torture forever. The pearl-like beauty's face showed no fear. She looked at the blade slashing down, the corner of her lips slightly hooked up into a strange smile. She even stretched out her arm to block. It was as if she wouldn't be satisfied until her arm was cut off by the blade. A huge hand reached out from behind her and lightly caught the clown's curved blade. At the same time, a sigh sounded out. Thousands of years have passed. Why are you still like this? Is there any meaning in competing like this? I haven't changed. I'm exactly the same as before. It's just that you think I've changed. You can say that I'm greedy for beauty and unscrupulous, but you can't deny my heart. I'm a vicious woman. I'm not that good looking. I'm not that beautiful. In order to become beautiful, I wear the semi-god weapon prayer pearl every day. Am I wrong? I'm a woman chasing after beauty. Am I wrong? Even if I'm wrong, my heart is still the same. Even when I heard that you died in battle in Tong Tian Tower, I'll still protect you, waiting for your return every day. It's just that you think I betrayed you. Did I betray my people? No matter how crazy I, pearl-like beauty, am, I wouldn't kill my own brothers and sisters. Don't you know that cunning enemies will sow discord? You big fool, what did I wait so long for? I was waiting for a promise from you. You said that when I bring reinforcements, you'll marry me. I happily went back, broke through the encirclement, went to ask for reinforcements. I've always remembered your promise, but did you keep it? You're like a turtle, hiding from me. I've maintained my virginity for thousands of years, waiting for you to marry me. But you're like a coward. Could it be that even you think that I'm a whore who can take any man? You really think that I can go and die, right? Shut up. Ming Ri Hao, who had appeared behind the pearl-like beauty, roared loudly, his voice shaking the heavens and earth. The shockwave sent the clown flying, his body flying like a leaf in a hurricane. His strength in front of Ming Ri Hao was not even worth mentioning, even if it was the injured Ming Ri Hao. I won't. The pearl-like beauty screamed and stared at Ming Ri Hao fearlessly. You're a coward, a gutless man. Divine Ancestor has been dead for so many years, but you still can't let it go. There's a woman who loves you, but you don't even look at her. What kind of man are you? It's because of people like you that the tragedy of Tianhua region is repeated. I'm not as beautiful as Divine Ancestor, and I'm not as gentle as her. I'm naturally lively and active. I just like to scheme and scheme. I've inherited the second Divine Ancestor's personality. What's wrong with me? Could it be that all the women in the world have to be like great Divine Ancestor? You fool! Look at you Titan's women. Every one of them has a different personality. Why is he so happy? Why are you so unlucky? It's because you're blind, a heartless and cowardly tortoise. He's sincere to his lover, and life rewarded him with happiness. What about you? You're indifferent to your lover, and life rewarded you with pain and sorrow. You asked for it. Finally, I want to say, if you're willing to let go of your sorrowful past, love me, accept me, and fulfill your promise, you'll be happy immediately. If not, you'll repeat the tragedy of the past. Divine Ancestor is already dead, and it's impossible for her to revive. Even if she revives, she wouldn't want to see you in such a dispirited state. Ming Ri Hao didn't know how to reply to the pearl-like beauty's question. Didn't you say that I'm hypocritical? All right, I'll return to my true self. I won't covet my beautiful appearance anymore, and I won't face you with a fake face anymore. If you're still not satisfied, I'll die in front of you. The pearl-like beauty took off the semi-god weapon, wish bead on her forehead, and threw it on the ground without hesitation. She took off the wish bead. A golden light flashed, and the pearl-like beauty suddenly turned from a delicate beauty to an 8 m tall female giant. The muscles on her body bulged, and the contours of her face were clear, as though it was carved from stone. It was completely different from how she looked previously. It was completely different. Tears flowed out from the pearl-like female giant's eyes like a waterfall. I'm so ugly. If you don't want me anymore, I'll kill myself immediately. Pearl-like light, will do what I say. Do you dare to say that you don't want me anymore? Ming Rihao was a little shocked by the pearl-like female giant's determination. One must know that the wish bead was her lifeline. Others couldn't even touch it. I've already done this much. What else do you want me to do? The pearl-like female giant covered her face and cried. Ming Rihao sighed. Silence. He took a step forward and opened his huge arms. Slowly, he hugged her, and the female pearl-light giant's body trembled violently. When she felt Ming Riwu's actions, she immediately threw herself into his embrace and cried loudly with all her might, as if she had suffered all the grievances in the world. Red, Man, and Reaper Mantis sister, who were hiding at the other side of the passage and watching this scene, all had red eyes. They were extremely touched. The clown moved quietly, wanting to sneak away. A man quickly flew over and stepped on him, flattening him to the ground. She then picked up the wish bead from the ground, thought for a while, then passed it to Red. This treasure, Master might not be able to keep it. Red took it and looked at it while muttering to herself. Why? Reaper Mantis sister did not understand. When Mother Qian and Mother Yu find out about this, they will definitely give it to Pearl Light as a wedding gift. Red explained to her. Reaper Mantis sister suddenly understood, then tilted her cute little head and asked, Is it okay to use other people's things as wedding gifts? It's already rare for Master to be able to give away something that he already has. Red covered her mouth and snickered. Yes, even Man agreed with this point. Chapter 995. By the time Yang woke up, it was already a day later. When he heard Drunken Cat say that the Sun King had already died, although he did not kill him personally, Yang was still very happy. After all, the Sun King, a formidable opponent, had died tragically under the Pseudo-Codex's body explosion. But when he thought about it, Yang immediately felt like he was going crazy. Damn it, killing such an awesome boss, but it didn't drop anything, and it didn't even level up. What kind of bullshit Asterisk game was this? Where's the GM? I want to complain. In total, he had fought almost 10 battles, and his life was in danger a few times. Let's not talk about killing monsters above his level. Even if it wasn't, would it be easy for a boss like the Sun King to drop? There was no reward at all. What was the meaning of this? Princess Sisai was already used to Yu Yang's reaction. It would be weird if it wasn't like this. Yu comforted her brother. Xiao-san, didn't you get half a god's body before? It's already very good to have a god's body as a reward. Yu is absolutely right. How many people in this world could obtain a god's body? Not to mention a god's body. Even a drop of god's blood was enough to make people fight for it. Yu Yang thought about it and finally felt better in his heart. But he was still a little unwilling. The Sun King actually died and didn't drop anything. What a fake. Who said it didn't drop? It dropped. The Sun King dropped a grimoire, and Hong has already picked it up for you. However, whether you can obtain the items inside, you have to think of a way yourself. Drunken Cat knew that Yu Yang had a habit. Every time he killed a strong enemy, he would always want to obtain something in order to balance his heart. She didn't know where this strange habit of his came from. Other than a dull grimoire, is there anything else like a divine weapon, a demi-divine weapon, or something? Yu Yang asked again. No. Everyone shook their heads. The Sun King shouldn't be this poor, right? Yu Yang was very doubtful. Maybe there is, but he didn't have time to take it out and use it. He was trampled by your giant of fate until he went crazy. When he went crazy, he climbed up the purple gold temple to contract the Pseudo-Codex. I couldn't stop him, and in the end he exploded with a bang. Can you think of a way to find it in his grimoire? Drunken Cat pretended to be serious, but in her heart, she was overjoyed. Forget about the grimoire. Yu Yang shook his head. Grimoires were not like storage rings. No matter what was placed inside, it would be very difficult to take it out. It had to be owned by someone else. Without an owner, it would have to find a new owner. Once it was contracted by a new owner, if the owner's strength was insufficient or if the owner's attributes were different, the grimoire would return to its original bronze grimoire form, and everything inside would disappear without a trace. Yu Yang also guessed that the Sun King didn't have anything good. After all, at the last moment, the Sun King had used all the divine weapons and demi-divine weapons. If he didn't use them, it meant that the things he had wouldn't be of much help. But then again, Yu Yang wouldn't believe that such a powerful person like the Sun King, who held such a high position, didn't have any good things. Maybe, when the Qilin girl Bang Yin woke up from her deep slumber, he could ask her for a favor and see if he could enter the ownerless grimoire and plunder it. Not now. This girl was in a deep sleep. She didn't respond when he asked her to help fight the Sun King. She was probably in the most important stage. Red passed the prayer bead to Yu Yang and talked about Ming Ri Wu and Pearlite. Yu Yang pretended to be surprised. What? Pearlite is actually a female giant? Aha! This young master is a little sympathetic to Ming Ri Wu now. No wonder this bitter uncle didn't nod his head. He looked down on Pearlite. But speaking of which, with Ming Ri Wu's bitter look, if it weren't for a female giant like Pearlite, no one would be able to match him. Now, they look like a couple. Princess Sisai rolled her eyes at him, indicating that he shouldn't go too far. Drunken Cat couldn't help but tease Yu Yang. Don't be so proud. If you have the guts to say that to Raging Flames, Captain Raging Flames, cough cough, I have a very pure friendship with her. Yu Yang still wanted to quibble. Xiao San. Yu was angry when she heard this. Even if it was a joke, he couldn't just make it. If Raging Flames heard it, how sad would she be? Yu Yang quickly raised his hands in surrender. On this issue, everyone let him off a little and gave him a way out. Everyone knew the inside story. They just took care of Raging Flame's face and saved everyone from embarrassment. Although he hadn't fully recovered, Yu Yang couldn't wait to clean up the battlefield again. Things like the golden ancient coffin didn't count. He had to find the equipment dropped by the Sun King before he could feel at ease. The Sun King was so awesome, there was no reason for him to not drop anything. There were no weapons or armors, and there were no accessories like necklaces and rings. Yu Yang searched for a long time in the fake purple gold temple. In the end, he let out a long sigh. It's not easy to get a dungeon. Who doesn't want to be a water pig? No. This guy's even poorer than a water pig. A water pig drops some potions, but this guy doesn't have anything. Princess Sisai glared at him with her eyes. Even if there was, it would have been blown to pieces long ago. You're wasting time. Hearing what she said, Yu Yang held his chin and pondered. Could it be that we didn't kill him in the end, so everyone didn't even improve? If it was in the past, killing such an awesome opponent, even if there was no law reward, the one who contributed the most and fought the longest would always get a big or small increase. How could there be nothing? Drunken Cat suddenly said. Could it be that the battle isn't over yet? This sentence gave everyone a fright. Even Yu Yang's back was sweating a little. One Sun King was already terrifying enough. If there was another one like him, he really didn't know what else he could do other than run away. Fortunately, Yu comforted him softly. Don't be nervous. Maybe Grey Wolf and the others are still fighting, or maybe there are other reasons, such as leaving this divine grimoire space. Otherwise, we will always be considered to be still fighting. I think there won't be many people like the Sun King, even in the Central Divine Palace. We've killed one, which is already a heavy blow to the Central Divine Palace. I don't think there will be another one like him in a short time. Xiao San, after we go back, you can completely focus on the Trial Ground Challenge. Don't worry too much. I think the Sun King probably didn't report the matter of Tong Tian Tower, but did it himself. Now that he's dead, we have a certain amount of time to develop. Princess Sisai nodded in agreement at first, then shook her head. Sister Yu is right. The Sun King won't report it easily, because he is confident that he can win against us. Now, I only worry about one person, and that is the clown. This guy, even if Duo turns him into flower fertilizer, I think he still has a certain threat. He likes to set up ambushes, and it's very likely that he has some hidden chess pieces somewhere. If he's dead, there might be someone else who's going to carry out his plan. Yu Yang nodded. It was indeed possible that the clown had set up such a plan. If the Sun King won, he would naturally use the follow-up plan to promote the Sun King to increase the Sun King's reputation in the central shrine. However, if the Sun King lost, and if the clown didn't survive, the chess pieces he left behind could report the matter to the central shrine's elder group. It's okay. We won't announce it to the public for now. The chess pieces left by the clown won't be able to confirm the death of the Sun King and the clown so quickly. They might also think that the Sun King and the clown are thinking of ways to contract the Holy Grimoire. Before the elder group finds out that the Sun King is missing, we still have time before they get suspicious. Besides making use of the time to improve, we will also get strong reinforcements, such as Ming Riwu and Ming Yuguang. Most importantly, Queen Vivian Li will come out soon. As long as we destroy the Holy Grimoire that Ji Wuri obtained from passing the trial ground, we have nothing to worry about. After thinking about it, Yu Yang felt that they still had time. The only thing they had to do was to stop Ji Wuri from passing the trial. We have to keep a low profile in the Tianhua domain, or else the central shrine will eventually become suspicious, Princess Sisai added. Let's talk about that when we get out of here. Now, why don't we go and see the real Holy Grimoire? Even if we can't contract it, we can at least enjoy it with our eyes. Drunken Cat couldn't wait to pull Yu Yang away. As for the fake Holy Grimoire, she felt that it might be dangerous to even look at it, let alone want it. This was the fake Holy Grimoire that killed the Sun King. Just by looking at it, it looked even more powerful than the Holy Grimoire. God knows who was the one who possessed this Holy Grimoire and fell into evil. The group of people passed through the garden, passed through the city gate, and arrived at the back hall of the fake purple gold temple. Looking into the distance, they were shocked to find that there was a tall purple gold temple behind it. Similar to the fake purple gold temple, there was also a city gate passage in front of them. The only difference was that the purple gold passage at the back did not have a golden shield. The golden shield only covered the purple gold temple. Walking up the white jade stairs, Yu Yang found that the scale of the building behind was even bigger. It was at least 3 times bigger than the one in front. There was originally a passage that was 100 meters tall, but when he looked up, it was actually a few hundred meters tall. The passage was extremely long. In the middle area, there was a space that was several times bigger than a football field, dividing the passage into 2 halves. When Yu Yang and his group arrived at the middle area, a metal puppet that was lying on the ground suddenly stood up, giving Yu a big shock. At first, she thought that this puppet was an inanimate object. She didn't expect it to be able to move. When it was alive, this puppet was probably a titan, or at least it was a human creature that was as big as a titan. Because this puppet's body was extremely big, even without a physical body, it still made people feel small. It was like a ghost, but not a ghost. It was an existence that was completely like a special kind of energy. On this puppet's body, there was still an enormous armor that it was wearing when it was alive. It looked like a humanoid, enormous energy floating in the air, wearing armor that was as thick as a city wall. In its hands, there was also a broadsword that was as wide as a road, and a shield that was as big as a city square. Just by standing in front of Yu Yang and his group, it blocked all the paths of Yu Yang and Princess Sisai. Most importantly, the will of this enormous energy puppet resonated with the whole purple gold passage, forming a kind of rule similar to the one Yu Qiu used to protect the Heaven Stairway World Tree. This kind of rule was not inferior to Yu Qiu's. If it wasn't for the recognition of this energy puppet, no one could enter unless they were a god. Want to fight? Yu Yang wouldn't waste his energy. Smart people always have ways, such as using diplomatic skills. Yu Yang pretended to be polite and saluted. Sleeping giant, we are adventurers. In response to the call of the divine grimoire, we have gone through untold hardships, overcome countless difficulties, defeated the most powerful enemies, and finally arrived in front of the divine grimoire. Loyal guard, perhaps you already knew that your loyal mission is about to end. Rejoice in the welcome of freedom. We are the new masters of the divine grimoire. Admirable guard, please allow us to pay our respects to you. Your loyal duty and your glorious name will forever be passed down in the world. Princess Sisai almost fell to the ground. My goodness, this kid's mouth is really slippery. When did you become the new master of the divine grimoire? Asking others to get lost, and you can regain your freedom with a good reputation. I have never seen someone like you. The drunken cat Big Sis expressed her adoration. As expected of my little husband, cheating people to death without paying for it was a small matter. Cheating the divine grimoire, that was the real skill. Yi was a little speechless. This mistress, whether it was coaxing little girls or fooling outsiders, his mouth was just as nimble. Of course, they tacitly remained silent. Watching Yu Yang's eloquence performance, Xue Wuxiao was not here, otherwise she would definitely cooperate with Yu Yang. Only she would think that wisdom was the first choice to solve all problems. You are adventurers? Ah, there are adventurers here. Babu is so happy. The energy puppet, which was probably a titan when it was alive, let out a thunderous roar, shaking the whole passage. It bent down. Its huge head looked down at the human man in front of it, who was as small as an ant in comparison, and suddenly said, "Adventurer, Babu used to be like you. In order to pursue the ideals in his heart, in order to sharpen his combat power, he once traveled all over the heavenly realm until he was shot in the knee. Puff." Yu Yang vomited blood and fell to the ground when he heard it. Damn it, you can't afford to hurt a guard who was shot by an arrow above the knee. Chapter 996. No matter what he said, this damned guard refused to give way, because the guard's will was combined with the ancient code. He couldn't use force even if he wanted to. Yu Yang had no choice but to go back first. The condition for the guard was that he had to have the strength of innate elder level 8 or above before he was allowed to enter. Damn it, if he had the strength of innate elder level 8 or above, why would he need to contract the grimoire? He could just kill his way into the central shrine. Yu Yang was speechless. Before he left, he decided to plunder the fake purple golden hall outside the grimoire, as well as the many independent spaces, until the ground was as high as the sky. Only then would he be able to relieve some of the depression in his heart. Actually, if you bring Xiao Xiao in here, since they are both from the same clan, that guard might be willing to let you in. Drunken Cat comforted Yu Yang. The Xiao Xiao in that Drunken Cat mentioned was the giant lowly who had the bloodline of the ancient Titan King. Yu Yang never thought about why the giant lowly was called Xiao Xiao in. To him, the giant lowly was a lowly girl. As long as she was cute, it didn't matter what she was called. Princess Sisai disagreed. That guard might not be a Titan. It might be a mutated race. Using Xiao Xiao in to open the way is a bit unrealistic. A stubborn guard like this, not to mention that it might not be a Titan, even if it was a Titan, it would not give way. The ancient gods would not find a flexible guy to be a guard. Yu Yu also supported Princess Sisai's opinion, but she didn't want to hurt Yu Yang's younger brother. She just smiled and said, "We are not entering a treasure mountain empty-handed. Don't we still have the golden ancient coffin? It might be filled with treasures." Yu Yang decided to keep the golden ancient coffin for later research. There was no need to rush the things that he had. As long as it was something that didn't belong to him, he would snatch it right away. After a round of looting by Yu Yang, he had managed to find quite a few good things in the dozens of independent spaces outside. For example, drinking the sweet dew spring that could slightly rejuvenate a person's youthful vigor. There was also the wisdom leaf that could slightly increase a beast's intelligence. Although it wasn't as powerful as the wisdom fruit, there were quite a few of them, so the total amount was still quite impressive. Among the many treasures he had plundered, the most valuable one was a chest full of sky dragon crystals. The sky dragon crystal was not a dragon crystal, but a type of ultra-pure energy crystal that was comparable to a dragon crystal. Use? It could only be used to create battle puppets. Because it didn't have any attributes at all, and it had a huge amount of energy, if it was fed to a beast, it would cause the beast's body to mutate. Losing some of its abilities was considered light, but it wasn't impossible for its body to explode. If it was someone else, the chest full of sky dragon crystals would be useless. After all, not everyone was like Yu Yang, who knew how to create ancient battle angels. The technology of battle angels had long been lost in the heaven realm. Rich, Yu Yang was very happy. With hundreds of sky dragon crystals, he could do many experiments. The battle angels already had IKA, so they probably wouldn't be made again in the future. But other battle puppets could be tried. The most important thing was that these sky dragon crystals could be combined with other energy crystals and special metals to make the super top-grade beast bracelet that Yu Yang had been having a headache about. Look at how happy you are. Princess Sisai felt that Yu Yang was sometimes still a big child. His Majesty is in danger. Drunken Cat didn't dare to say this, but she felt that if Yu Yang was allowed to further develop the beast bracelet, His Majesty seemed to be in danger. Things like pretending to be excited and breaking into the bedroom in the middle of the night might happen again. For the sake of His Majesty's face, Drunken Cat pretended not to know anything. Sky Dragon Crystal, did it appear before? Yu sighed secretly. It seemed that she would be busy again. She didn't know how many times she would have to cooperate with her brother to research the super top-grade beast bracelet. But it was better to do something for him than to do nothing. At least, she could stay by his side and take care of him. Open the ancient golden coffin and get the treasure. Then let's go back. Yu Yang also wanted to go back and see the situation of the battle. Not finished yet? Could it be that something had happened somewhere? It shouldn't be. The most dangerous one was the Sun King, and he had survived. For example, the Double-Faced King had Hui Tai Lang and Sky Execution, and the poet's 8 generals had Impatience, Fallen Flowers, and Inan to deal with them. There was no reason that they couldn't win. But why didn't they level up? Yu Yang also had some doubts in his heart. He really couldn't understand. If it's empty, I can imagine someone's face. Princess Sisai laughed and attacked Yu Yang. Ever since she defeated the Sun King, the burden on her shoulders had been lifted. Her mood was relaxed, and she also started to joke around with Yu Yang. Tigress, if this ancient golden coffin is empty, be careful of your butt. If I don't beat it until it's swollen, it's not called Yu Yang. Yu Yang snorted as a warning. You dare. But how could Princess Sisai be afraid of him? She immediately rolled her eyes at him. Pervert, I support you. The drunken cat Big Sis secretly reached out her hand and touched Princess Qian Qian's little butt, exclaiming that it felt good. This angered Hunyo, who immediately retaliated and fiercely slapped the drunken cat Big Sis's plump butt. Because the drunken cat Big Sis was wearing tight-fitting clothes, this forceful slap actually caused a beautiful wave of seductive, soul-stirring waves. Seeing this, Yu Yang's anger flared up, and he almost turned into a pervert and howled towards the sky. This ancient golden coffin is a little different from the previous one. Yu pretended not to see it. She carefully observed the ancient golden coffin and changed the topic. With the experience of opening the first ancient golden coffin, this second one was much easier. Yu Yang spent 10 minutes to understand the ancient golden coffin's secret rune formation. He then used his energy to attract it. Amidst the flickering golden light, the ancient golden coffin's lid was silently opened, revealing the scene inside. A golden light, as fast as lightning, escaped from inside. Yu and Drunken Cat reached out their hands at the same time, but caught nothing. Princess Sisai stood a little further away. When she wanted to chase, the golden light had already escaped more than 100 meters away. Fortunately, Little Wen Li and the others were there. They were faster than IKA. Red and Aman Duo reached out her hand and caught the golden light in her palm. She raised her hand and released it. A ball of golden light floated in front of her. In the center of the ball of golden light, there was a tiny little thing looking at everyone with a little fear. Yu Yang carefully observed it with his heaven eyes' divine vision. Suddenly, he cried out involuntarily, "This is a metal life. How is it possible? Puppet war dolls can also create life?" From the appearance of this tiny thing, it was impossible to tell that it was a puppet war dolls. It looked like a little elf. On its back, there were thin wings that were a little transparent, like a dragonfly. Its body was small and slender. Although it was only half an inch tall, it looked like a woman. Even outside its body, it was wearing a gauze dress made of some unknown metal. It looked soft like silk. But even Drunken Cat and you could see that this dress was made of metal. It was not ordinary silk or cotton. It was not woven, but a very special metal that could change shape at will. In Yu Yang's eyes, the image he saw corresponded to the information that came out from the inheritance of knowledge in his mind. Ancient guide elf, an ancient metal life. Saint level, high intelligence. Energy supplied by the space energy will automatically recover. Never aging, never tired. Only serves the gods. Once a master-servant contract is signed, it will serve for life until the master dies or abandons it. Special skills, tracking, break mystery, guidance, 1,000-mile blink, space-time return. Don't kill me. The guide elf in the golden light pleaded weakly. She could speak, but she did not know the Heaven Realm's language or Tong Tian Tower's common language. She could only speak the ancient language. Safe. Yu Yang did not know how to speak the ancient language, but he understood runes. He drew a rune circle and signaled for Duo to let go of her. This kind of ancient guide elf could not be killed. Although she did not have any combat power, no matter how her body was destroyed, she would automatically recover. If he wanted to kill her, it would be a waste of energy. It would be better to seal her in the golden coffin for 10,000 years. Duo seemed to be a little reluctant to let go of this little thing. However, since Yu Yang had spoken, she did as he said without hesitation. She let go of her hand, and the divine beast will no longer suppress this little thing. With a flash of golden light, the guide elf, who had just regained her freedom, was teleported 10,000 meters away. After a few flashes, she disappeared without a trace. Princess Sisai was a little regretful. She stretched out her hand and punched Yu Yang, complaining, "You are usually not this generous." Yu Yang laughed. "Girl, this kind of thing only serves the gods. Talking about conditions with her is simply nonsense. You might as well let her go." Princess Sisai was startled. "Only serves the gods?" She shook her head and did not pursue the matter. There was no point in forcing things that did not belong to her. Yu and Drunken Cat looked at each other and smiled. No wonder this bright Yu Yang was so generous. It turned out that it was impossible to contract it. Otherwise, how could he be willing to let that little thing go? The treasures in the golden coffin were more than the golden coffin that they had obtained previously. Other than the ancient era's battle puppet illustrated booklet, there was also a small bottle of ancient god's blood. Although there were only 3 drops in the bottle, it was enough to make Yu Yang ecstatic. This was ancient god's blood. Compared to it, the god's blood that he had obtained previously was simply nothing. With these 3 drops of ancient god's blood, Yu Yang could finally do many things that he could not solve previously. After pressing on the ancient battle puppet book and ancient god's blood, there was also a giant soul stone that had a slightly dimmed color. It might have been absorbed by that little thing's guide elf, but the remaining energy was still incomparably rich. Yu Yang hesitated slightly. Should he give it to Man to level up and let her go to the next level, or give it to the Spirit of Chaos as a host for the Soul Stone, or give it to someone else? He had to think about it carefully. Yu Yang, who could not make up his mind for the time being, continued to search. In the end, he found an unknown ancient beast's skin and a small metal ball. Needless to say, the ancient beast's skin was a treasure map. Not to mention whether the treasures left behind from ancient times were still there, just looking for the terrain of the Heaven Realm that had been constantly changing over the past tens of thousands of years would probably give him a splitting headache. Of course, no one would complain about having too many treasures. If he could accurately find the hidden treasure on the map, Yu Yang would not mind taking some time out to search for it. The small metal ball was very strange. Yu Yang held it in his palm and felt a strange, slight vibration. He estimated that it was the core of an ancient battle puppet. The ancient battle puppet's body was driven by it, which was equivalent to a human's brain. However, Yu Yang could not guess the specific appearance of this ancient battle puppet. It seemed that he still had to study the ancient battle puppet book to find the real answer. Not to mention other things. Just 3 drops of ancient god's blood was enough for this trip's reward. Yu Yang was currently in a very good mood. He hugged Tigress and rewarded her with a kiss on the spot. Princess Sisai was extremely embarrassed and rebuked him for his rude actions. After struggling to no avail, she accepted it and shared the joy of the moment with him in the hot kiss. However, the moment he loosened his lips, she bit him harshly with her little white teeth to punish him. Yu Yang sighed. In the end, she was Tigress. She just liked to bite people. Everyone burst into laughter. Before leaving the grimoire, the little guiding spirit seemed to have understood what space she was in. It stuck its head out and followed behind Yu Yang's group. It seemed that it wanted to leave with everyone, but it also seemed to be afraid of Yu Yang. She watched as one by one walked into Yu Yang's grimoire world. She was a little anxious. In the end, she saw Duo waving at her. After a slight hesitation, she quickly teleported over. Her small body hid under the flowers on Duo's head, thinking that she had escaped from Yu Yang's gaze. She used her small hands to gently pull up a petal on Duo's head and silently covered her body. Then, she slept soundly in the cluster of flowers. Duo nodded slightly towards Yu Yang. Before entering the grimoire world, Yu Yang rewarded her with a thumbs up. Before turning into a stream of light and returning, Duo's face revealed a brilliant smile. Chapter 997. Leaving the divine grimoire space, Yu Yang used the 3-realm compass to return to the 5th floor of the heaven stairway. Just as he stepped on the blood altar, before Yu Yang could even stand firm, countless golden pillars of light had already risen from his body, shooting straight into the sky. Princess Sisai, Drunken Cat, and Yu, who were still resting in the grimoire world, all automatically came out of the grimoire world. One by one, they floated in the air, their bodies and minds immersed in the wonderful energy field of leveling up. It turned out that it wasn't that they couldn't level up after the great battle, but because they were restricted by the laws inside the divine grimoire, they couldn't level up. Now that they had left the divine grimoire space, other than Xiaonu, who didn't participate in the battle, everyone had benefited and leveled up in this difficult battle. What made Princess Sisai, the Rouge Tigress, most moved was that after joining hands to repel the Sun King, she had finally broken through the realm that she had yearned for a long time. From the original innate realm, she had broken through to the innate elder realm, officially possessing the innate elder realm and indestructible will. The Prison Emperor Divine Sword had further fused with Princess Sisai's, leveling up this time. Although it hadn't been completely fused, there wasn't much left. Princess Sisai could already see the dawn of complete fusion and officially turning this divine weapon into her own unique divine weapon. Tigress, I will help you. Yu Yang congratulated and fawned on her. I need to consider carefully whether I should give you this chance. Princess Sisai said arrogantly on the surface, but in fact, she knew that without Yu Yang's cooperation, she would never be able to completely fuse with the Prison Emperor Divine Sword. After all, this divine weapon originally recognized him as its master. Only if he completely gave up and completely transferred the ownership of this divine weapon could the Prison Emperor Divine Sword become her own unique divine sword. Princess Sisai treated Yu Yang well in private, but in front of everyone, she naturally maintained her arrogance as Tigress. We're finally back. Fourth Mother brought Luo Hua City Mistress, Yinan, Yu Bing, Yu Shuang, and the others to the periphery of the blood altar. When she saw that Yu Yang had brought everyone back, and that everyone had leveled up, she couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Brother Xiao San, Yu Shuang, this little thing, immediately threw herself into her brother's embrace. She was even faster than Yu Bing, who was charging towards them. You're so annoying. You killed the Sun King without bringing me along. Phoenix Fairy Beauty's tone was a little sour. She knew that Yu Yang did this because he was worried about everyone's safety, but seeing how happy Princess Qian was, she couldn't help but feel a little envious. He treated her very well, but he treated that bad-tempered Hunyo the best. Forget it. The Southern Demon King rolled her eyes at the impatience. What she meant was that she, Skylaw, was already Yu Yang's woman. Who didn't know that he was the best in bed? She's already so spoiled by her husband, yet she's still going to argue with us who haven't pushed her down yet? Look at how Shui Wuhan did it. That's called magnanimity. The impatience covered her mouth and giggled. She secretly winked at the Southern Demon King, implying, "Let's fight tonight." How could the Southern Demon King not understand Skylaw's meaning? Her jade-like face instantly turned red. Although she had the intention, she still shook her head. She thought that it would be better to be alone with him for the first time. Anyway, her father had already discussed it with Fourth Mother, Yu Hai, and the other elders. Shui Dong Lu, Jun Wu Yu, Grandma Wu Tung, and the other elders would be the matchmaker, and Eldon and Gong would be the host. Later on, when the wedding day comes, she would also wear her wedding dress and be a beautiful bride. She wouldn't need to be liked by Lu and Lai Yin, who had to do things secretly and couldn't announce it to the public. The impatience spread her hands. Get married? She didn't care about those customs. No ceremony? When he took her away from the succubus hall, he had already obtained everyone's witness. Why did he have to do it again? Moreover, no matter if it was announced or not, the marriage between the demonic palace and the Yu clan had already been written in the Yu clan's genealogy book and the Xia Empire's book. Perhaps in the Soaring Dragon continent, who didn't know that she was his wife? Forget it. I can't explain it to you. The Southern Goblin King sighed. Skylon naturally didn't need to worry about her. She had already been pushed down by that bad guy, and everything was a fait accompli. However, she was different. He didn't even have time to talk to her. What kind of treasures did you get? Brother-in-law, I want this one too, and this one. This was Sky Disaster. I want one too. I like this wisdom leaf. Give me another one. Stingy fellow, you have so many. Give me another one. It's just one leaf. Sky Disaster has already snatched 3 of them. Don't snatch mine. This was the golden elf, Bao Air. I don't want it. Give it to Sister Bao Air. This was the kind Lu Yi. Something to coax a child. If I don't want it. This was Xia Yi, who said one thing, but meant another. Seeing this scene, Phoenix Fairy Beauty smiled. She turned around and walked towards the Heaven Stairway's world power that was guarding the passage. At the same time, she pretended to be mature and sighed. Tis K, how carefree. Hearing this, the Southern Demon King rolled her eyes. Please, you're not that much more mature than them. If it wasn't because there were so many people here and you're the only one waiting for Yu Yang, it would be weird if you didn't take off your clothes and fight. As the prize for everyone waiting here, the sweet dew spring and the wisdom leaf that Yu Yang obtained were all divided by Sky Disaster Bao Air and the others. No one wanted the Sky Dragon Crystal, but the top-quality beast bracelet had already been reserved. Of course, they didn't dare to touch the important treasures. For example, the ancient god's blood. Other than clicking their tongues in envy, no one had any ideas about it. Most of them asked about the process of fighting the Sun King and exploring the grimoire. Yu Yang and Drunken Cat were in charge of explaining. Princess Sisai and you would occasionally add a sentence to explain. Not only Yu Bing, Bao Air, and the others were still young, but even the mature Fallen Flowers and Southern Demon King were stunned. This was because this bitter battle was really beyond their expectations. Fourth Mother listened quietly, maintaining a smile on her face. When she heard Yu Yang said gloomily that there was a terrifying guard outside the grimoire, she couldn't help but laugh. Yu noticed it and asked softly, "Are there guards in all the grimoires? Or is it only the grimoire that we met?" Fourth Mother waved her hand. "I don't know." Although she denied it, Yu felt that Fourth Mother definitely knew some secrets, but she just didn't say it. Maybe it was not the right time yet. Yu didn't think too much about it. Anyway, Fourth Mother wouldn't hurt Xiao San. She would definitely tell him if there were any benefits. She didn't say it, but she loved him the most in her heart. After the reunion, the Southern Demon King and the others continued to cultivate in the World Tree. Fourth Mother brought Yu Yang, Yu Bing, and the little girl home. Princess Sisai declined to go with Yu Yang because she wanted to cultivate and consolidate her innate elder realm. Drunken Cat also said that she wanted to cultivate properly. In the end, under the persuasion of Fallen Flowers and Anan, Yu decided to go home and rest. Other than the exhaustion from the battle, she needed a good rest. Yu also felt that Yu Yang needed her in the research and development of the beast bracelet. If she and Princess Sisai went to the heaven stairway to cultivate, he would definitely make a mess without anyone's help. Fallen flowers. Inan and Yu returned to the Tian Luo Palace's mirage and waited for Yu Yang there. Fourth Mother brought Yu Yang, Bing Er, and Shuang back to the Yu clan castle to report their safety. One must know that Elder Yu Hai, the old cunning fox, and Jun Yu were also anxiously waiting for Yu Yang's news. The Sun King has fallen. Jun Wu Yu and the old cunning fox were overjoyed when they heard the news. Good, good. Elder Yu Hai roared towards the sky. Yu Yang's growth had far exceeded their imagination. However, even if they knew that Yu Yang was a genius that only appeared once every 10,000 years, they didn't dare to think that he could kill the Sun King, who came from the central shrine Sun God Palace. The Sun King was an existence that was close to the level of a god. He was a rancor that couldn't be killed by humans. Now that they heard that Yu Yang had successfully killed the Sun King, this good news had far exceeded their expectations. How could they not be excited? Jun Wu Yu and the old cunning fox prepared to discuss with Elder Nangong whether they should temporarily suppress this news and not spread it out, so that the spies from the Heaven Realm wouldn't know about it. If there were some spies who could successfully pass through some unknown space-time crack and send this news back to the Central Shrine, then Yu Yang, who would definitely start a war with the Central Shrine in the future, would be alerted. Yu Yang needed time, and Tong Tian Tower also needed time. For the time being, it was better to keep a low profile. The good news of the war could also be the killing of the Sun King's 8 generals. Anyway, to the ordinary people, the Heaven Realm's rancors were all unbelievably powerful existences. Where are Fatty Hai and the others? Yu Yang realized that Fatty Hai and Yi Kong were nowhere to be seen, so he asked curiously. Because they were too proactive in chasing the enemy, they were all heavily injured. Also, the Demon King from the Demon Abyss and the rancors from the Eastern Goblin tribe were almost the same. Only the people from the Demonic Palace were slightly better. If it wasn't for Sky Law and the others, they definitely wouldn't be able to defeat the 8 generals. The poet and the fool surrendered conditionally. This was agreed upon by Fallen Flowers and Inan. The dwarf was captured, the savage and the hanged man died on the spot. The long-bearded old man escaped for a day before he was caught by the Sky Law and Sky Calamity Sisters and killed together. That fatty was captured by the 2 seniors, Bei Feng Jia Suo and Feng Zhu. Because he refused to surrender and was very loyal, he was surrounded and killed by the people from the Demonic Palace, the Demon Abyss, the Eastern Goblin Tribe, and Shuetan Lang. Even though he was surrounded, he still fought for a day and a night. That fatty was very strong. Fortunately, the stronger poet and fool surrendered conditionally. Otherwise, our people would have suffered unavoidable losses. The old cunning fox still had some lingering fear when he talked about the war. Yi Kong and the others went to the elven forest to recuperate. There is a special elven spring water there, which is good for their recovery. Jun Wu expressed that there was no need to worry. In short, we are still too weak. Yu Yang didn't have any better ideas. Growth needed time. Let's not talk about you. Even their performance had far exceeded our expectations. If that's the case, where do you want us old fellows to put our faces? Rest well. We old fellows can't fight a war. Rest assured and leave these trivial matters to us. The old cunning fox patted Yu Yang's shoulder. After bidding farewell to Jun Wu Yu, the old cunning fox, and Elder Yu Hai, Yu Yang returned to Tian Luo Palace. Before returning home, he went to see His Majesty first. His Majesty seemed to have received the news and was in a good mood. He praised Yu Yang a little, but still refused to see him, giving him a cold shoulder. Fourth Mother personally cooked a table full of dishes. The little girl secretly ate a few times, but forgot to wipe the grease off her little mouth. She thought that no one knew and pretended to be obedient as she sat on her seat. Fallen Flowers and Anan also put on a good performance and cooked a dish each. Only Yu Bing still persisted in her brother's daily training plan. Before Yu Yang returned, she still practiced her combat skills for an hour. Inside the god's ruins, would there be that infuriating guard? While Yu Yang was eating, he suddenly thought of something. He forgot about Fourth Mother's previous denial and directly opened his mouth to ask Fourth Mother. Fourth Mother looked at Yu Yang's face, full of expectation, and sighed. Well, although I have never entered the god's ruins, there are some things that can be deduced with common sense. Why did the ancient gods set up a guard at the entrance of the divine grimoire? If the divine grimoire was absolutely safe, then there seemed to be no need. Or maybe this divine grimoire didn't want people to contract it, so they just sealed it. Why do they need to set up a guard? Could it be that a divine grimoire with a guard was actually the easiest to contract? And setting up a guard was also to find the best contractor? I think not every divine grimoire is exactly the same. Some of them should be very strict. Why was there a guard at the entrance of the divine grimoire? Could it be that it was the doing of the great god who sacrificed her life to open the passage? Did she open the passage for future generations and deliberately set up a guard? In the god's ruins, I think there should be many gods with different personalities buried, so the way to deal with them is also different. Fourth Mother said very vaguely, trying to ignore her own factors and pushed her understanding to common sense reasoning. However, whether it was Yu Yang, Yu Yu, Fallen Flowers, Inan, and Yu Bing, they all understood at once. Except for the little girl who was engrossed in eating, everyone understood a principle through Fourth Mother's guidance. That was, a divine grimoire with a guard was actually the easiest to contract. It was also looking for its master. Yu Yang was ecstatic. But on the surface, he didn't show it. It was already very rare for Fourth Mother to guide him to this step. He couldn't force her to say what she was unwilling to say. Moreover, if one didn't experience it personally, one wouldn't be able to understand what Fourth Mother had said. Only by experiencing it personally would one understand that everything that the ancient gods did had some kind of deep meaning behind it. Some of them were hard to understand with a human's way of thinking. Only when one stood at the height of the gods, or was close to the height of the gods, would it be easy to understand. After the meal, everyone relaxed and sat together, chatting and laughing, enjoying this rare, peaceful life. Seeing that the sky was getting dark, Yu Yu quickly found an excuse to go back to her room to rest. But Bing Er didn't know the reason. She felt that it was rare for her brother to be by her side, so she could report the various situations of her training to him. Fourth Mother carried the little girl who kept yawning back to her room and called Bing Er a few times. But Yu Bing was too happy, showing that she wasn't sleepy at all. She kept pestering her brother to talk about training. City Mistress Fallen Flowers and Inan secretly laughed, but they waited patiently, smiling to see how Yu Yang, this brother who doted on his sister, would accompany his sister to practice martial arts. Isn't it too late? When Yu Bing came to her senses, it was already close to midnight. She was worried that she would disturb her brother's rest. It's okay, brother isn't sleepy. Your training is the most important. Yu Yang patted Bing Er's little head, slightly messing up the soft hair on her forehead. Sister-in-law Anan, sister-in-law Fallen Flowers, I'm going back now. Oh right, Mother said before that, after the war ends, Tong Tian Tower will not be in danger temporarily. She wants you to hug your baby as soon as possible. Yu Bing obediently said goodbye, but she suddenly remembered something and immediately ran back to warn Fallen Flowers and Anan. This time, the two girls were so embarrassed that their faces turned red. Actually, according to Yu Bing's simple understanding, brother and sister-in-law slept in the same room at night. If brother and sister-in-law slept in the same room at night, then they would have a baby. As for how the baby came about, she had not thought about it for the time being. She ran back to warn Fallen Flowers and Anan, mainly to remind them not to forget to sleep with her brother. They must not be like Princess Sisai and Sister Shui Wuxia, who stayed with her brother during the day, but had their own rest at night. Yu Yang was speechless. He almost wanted to say that his sister couldn't be so cute. Speaking of pure thoughts, other than Yu Bing, who didn't have too many distracting thoughts, Yu Yang had also influenced her. This was because Yu Yang often used his innate qi to cleanse Yu Bing's body, allowing her to be reborn and cleanse her bones. Her body had always been in the most active early stage of youth. She hadn't matured with time, so naturally, she didn't pay much attention to her body. Cleansing the body, not only could one stay young forever, it could also slowly cleanse the distracting thoughts. This was also the reason why Yu Bing's thoughts were becoming more and more pure. All right, being pure wasn't a bad thing. When Yu Yang saw his sister dashing back, he immediately hugged the extremely shy Yinan. He then turned around and kissed the Luo Hua beauty who had already embraced him from behind. Cough. Now is the time to enjoy the manufacturing process. As for whether there would be side effects like a baby, he didn't need to think about it. In any case, if he enjoyed the manufacturing process too much, there would definitely be side effects. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.